begin the study session for April 12th, 2021. Tony, would you please call the roll?
Jimenez,
Present.
Perales, Cohen,
Here.
Carrasco, Davis,
Here.
Esparza,
Here.
Arenas, Foley,
Here.
Mahan,
Here.
Jones,
Present.
Licardo.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie, thanks for the work of you and your team to get us to this point. I know we've got a lot to talk about. Dave, did you want to say a few words or let Carrie kick it off?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to kind of emphasize the point that you just made, we do have a lot to talk about. So the team has a presentation that will take a little time, but there's just a lot of information that we want to share with the council. And so looking forward to the opportunity. So thank you. Carrie?
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all for making time for us today. We're excited to share some emerging news on regulations, kind of status of what's happening in our community, and then get some input on rate notices. Shika, if you could pull up the slides, that would be awesome. And while we're doing that, I'll start with moving to the next slide, which is our agenda. So if we go to the slideshow view, that would be awesome. And so we'll talk about kind of an overview of our program, just as a refresher for folks that aren't too familiar with what we do every day. Calorie Cycle is here to share an update on Senate Bill 1383. And out of respect for their time, we're super thankful they're able to join us today. We're going to ask that they're able to answer your questions after the presentation because they may not be able to stay for the duration. Then we'll move into the status of our residential recycling contamination and next steps. And then lastly, we'll talk about the residential garbage and recycling rates and get your input from that. And with that, I'll turn it over to our Deputy Director, Valerie Osmond, and Valerie is joined by Shika Gupta. Shika is a Senior Environmental Services Program Manager leading a lot of the SB 1383 programming. And then we're also joined by Jeff Anderson. Jeff Anderson is a Senior Environmental Services Program Manager leading our residential program. With that, I'll hand it off to you guys.
Great, thank you, Carrie. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm Valerie Osmond, Deputy Director with Integrated Waste Management and Environmental Services Department, and I'm going to be talking today about the IWM division and our role in the city. So get prepared to be immersed in garbage, all things solid waste. Okay, I think we are still pulling up the slideshow.
Oh, give me 1 second. I thought I shared it. Give me 1 second.
As Shika is sharing the slideshow, I can start off by saying that Integrated Waste Management provides solid waste collection, processing, and disposal services to all of San Jose's residents and businesses. We've been a leader in recycling since 1985, and San Jose was the first big city in the United States to offer curbside recyclables collection. We've won various awards over the years, which are a testament to our leadership in the field. An example is the Governor's Environmental and Economic Leadership Award and for our commercial solid waste management system. San Jose has adopted the Climate Emergency Resolution in 2019, which prioritizes efforts to become a zero waste city and a commitment to be a cleaner and greener San Jose. IWM division staff oversees various contracts and agreements for the services provided by various haulers and facilities locally in San Jose. The residential and commercial programs are distinct and operate differently. We also oversee the construction and demolition waste stream through our non-exclusive haulers, certified facilities, and diversion deposit program. We manage about $130 million annual budget for all of our programs. Our landfill diversion requirements surpass recycling mandates with over 70% for residential and city facilities, 95% for residential yard trimmings, and 60% for commercial. So that means diversion is the materials that we want kept out of our landfill. And I'm talking more slowly, so we can see if we can get the presentation shared.
Oh my goodness, I thought I was sharing it, my bad. How about now?
That's great, Shika. If you could get it to presentation view, that would be awesome, so that we don't see the notes pages.
Okay. For some reason, let me stop and see if I can figure this out. Hasn't been this issue before. I don't know why it's doing this.
I know sometimes you can cheat just by expanding the slide view so that the notes are beyond the margin. It may help.
So as long as we don't call that cheating, I'm in.
How about now? What version are you, do you see?
No, we
Just
still see
change the
the notes.
display settings. Yeah.
There you go.
How's that?
Perfect.
Good.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank
it.
you. Sorry
Thank you
about
all.
that.
All right, and I think you're on the right slide for me. Thank you so much. Okay, so San Jose's solid waste program has evolved over the years. In 1993, we provided a residential multi-container recycling system, which has changed to single stream recycling in 2002. We developed a zero waste plan in 2008 to guide San Jose's waste management and divert waste from landfill to be reused, recycled, and reduced. Our residential program collected recyclables, yard waste, and garbage separately. To help achieve the zero waste goal, the program started to process residential garbage to extract organics and recyclables. Also, the commercial collection system was an open franchise system at the time, with multiple haulers providing services to San Jose businesses. In 2012, Council approved an exclusive franchise system for the commercial solid waste collection and processing. There is a non-exclusive franchise system for collection of construction and demolition debris with 30 approved haulers. ESD was also able to pass the Bring Your Own Bag ordinance in 2012 ahead of the state regulation in 2014. And in 2015, the city passed an ordinance to ban expanded polystyrene in foodware at restaurants. These bans have helped reduce waste at the front end, along with other benefits like reduction in litter. We provided an update to Council in 2017 to include more strategies to achieve the zero waste goals, and we're currently working on updating our zero waste plan as an element of Climate Smart San Jose. As you can see, waste management is complicated and continuously evolving and improving. We can always do more to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Next slide, please. This slide shows how the single-family curbside set-out has changed over time. When curbside recycling collection began in 1993, residents had to sort the recycling into 4 different containers. I still have mine. In 2002, the city switched to a commingled recycling program where residents no longer had to sort their recyclables, but instead put them all into one large wheeled cart. This made it easier for residents to recycle, as well as allowing for safer and more efficient collection by our recycling haulers. Optional yard trimmings carts were also added to the program in 2002. However, most of our yard trimmings are collected loose in the street. Unlike some other jurisdictions, in San Jose, residents do not need to separate food waste into separate containers, and instead, residential garbage is processed to remove food waste and other organics, which is then composted. Like commingled recycling, this makes things simpler for our residents and allows San Jose to divert more material from landfill than if we had a separate food waste collection program. Next slide. Calorie Cycle monitors cities' maximum per capita disposal, measured in pounds per person per day. Since the target has been set in 2007, San Jose has been in consistent compliance every year. Compared to other big cities in the state, San Jose has been a leader with lower disposal than other large cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, and Oakland. San Jose's maximum per capita disposal for Calorie Cycle, 5.2 pounds per person per day. And we are well below that target with an actual of 3.2 pounds per person per day for 2019, as we have been in previous years. Next slide. So there are some key regulations that have guided our programs towards zero waste and the diversion from landfill. AB 939 is the Integrated Waste Management Act and requires the city to divert 50% of all solid waste by January 1st, 2000 through source reduction, recycling, and composting activities. It authorized local jurisdictions to impose fees on the types of or amounts of solid waste generated to be used to pay actual costs incurred in preparing, adopting, and implementing integrated waste management plans, such as in setting and collecting local fees. Some of our programs are funded through these AB 939 fees, and since this 50% mandate, San Jose has enacted various ordinances and made many program improvements to achieve and exceed the goal. AB 341 sets forth the requirements of the statewide mandatory commercial recycling program, and it requires jurisdictions to implement a commercial solid waste recycling program that includes education, outreach, and monitoring of businesses that's appropriate for that jurisdiction and is designed to be diverting commercial solid waste from businesses. We provide such services and stay compliant with our commercial wet-dry system. AB 1826 requires businesses to recycle their organic waste on or after April 1st, 2016, depending on the amount of waste that they generate per week. This law also requires that on or after January 1st, 2016, local jurisdictions across the state implement an organic waste recycling program to divert organic waste generated by businesses, including multifamily residential dwellings that consist of more than 5 units. In September of 2020, Calorie Cycle reduced the threshold to 2 cubic yards from 4 cubic yards of solid waste generated by covered businesses. And AB 341 is established a new statewide goal of 75% recycling through source reduction, recycling, and composting by 2020. Several activities that count towards diversion under AB 939 do not count towards recycling under AB 341, including alternate daily cover and other beneficial reuse. These activities are instead defined as disposal-related activities. And in San Jose, our current programs are not designed to count alternate daily cover towards diversion. And so with that, we're now going to talk about SB 1383, and it is the most significant waste reduction mandate to be adopted in California in the last 30 years. So I would like to hand this off to Calorie Cycle's Brianna Lara to talk more about this new regulation.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me on here. This is actually one of the first presentations that I've done regarding 1383. So this will be the first time. So I'm just going to get right into it. So at times, COVID has created a focus on what we can't do and what we can't control. And as a result, it can feel almost insurmountable to implement SB 1383 regulations by the 2022 deadline. Today, I would like to challenge each of us to think about what we can do and to see this time as an opportunity to create our future. By reducing the super pollutant methane, we can immediately begin to have a positive impact on climate change. We'll be able to see a positive change in our lifetime. Next slide, please. There's no question that the pandemic is unprecedented, and along with it, challenges that at times can seem insurmountable. Each of us have been touched by the pandemic, and many of us know friends or family members that have been impacted. With so many businesses closed, it has been incredibly difficult to set up new commercial recycling accounts. And with so many Californians struggling financially, it has been challenging for some jurisdictions to implement new rates for organic waste collection. For some jurisdictions that have experienced layoffs, it has seemed impossible to work on plans to implement regulations. But I would like you to take a moment and think about what positives have resulted because of the pandemic. How many of you have done things during this time that before you didn't have the time to do, like hiking or camping near a lake that you've been dreaming of for years, or walking in your neighborhoods just to get out of the house and making dinner with your family because everyone is home? Next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry, can you go to the previous slide? COVID has forced us to reset in our families, in our workplaces, and in the environment. We have heard from scientists that pollution has significantly reduced during this time. As climate scientist Katherine Hayhoe recently said, what really matters is the same for all of us. It's the health and safety of our friends, our family, our loved ones, our community, our cities, and our country. That's what the coronavirus threatens, and that's exactly what climate change does too. The coronavirus is devastating, but failing to tackle climate change because of the pandemic only compounds the tragedy. Instead, we must draw on the lessons that we have learned during this pandemic to address our climate change. Okay, next slide. Let's explore the practical lessons that we can take away from the pandemic and use these as we seek to tackle climate change. Number one is to act early. The coronavirus pandemic shows the crucial importance of early action to prevent catastrophic consequences. The SB 1383 rulemaking started almost 4 years ago. During that time, a number of jurisdictions have led the way, taken early action, and shown what is possible. In the coming year, we need to support the towns, cities, and the county of Santa Clara. We can't afford to keep polluting the climate because we don't just have a pandemic crisis, we have a climate crisis. Number two is to go local. The pandemic has forced an immediate scale down of how we travel and live. People are forging local connections, shopping locally, working from home, and limiting consumption to just what they need. This crisis has taught us that we need to build our edible food recovery programs to use surplus edible food instead of landfilling it to help us meet the needs of the almost 1 in 5 Californians without enough to eat right now. We have the opportunity to address food waste, and different sectors are coming up with solutions. Next slide, please. Senate Bill 1383 is part of California's larger strategy to combat climate change. This law was designed to reduce the global warming superpollutants like methane, which is up to 84 times more potent than carbon dioxide. To reduce methane now, we have to move away from landfilling organic waste like food, paper, and yard waste. When organic materials break down in the landfill, methane is generated. In California, landfills are the 3rd largest producer of methane in our environment. Recycling organic waste and recovering edible food is a fast track to combating climate change. The wildfires and economic situation that is resulting in so many Californians being hungry every day are creating momentum and attention to addressing climate change. It's critical that we address climate change now. Californians are resilient, and we have to work together in order to achieve these goals, and Calorie Cycle is your partner. We have to bring the economy forward by investing in green recycling manufacturing. When we invest, we help raise all of us up. Next slide, please. Organic waste is the largest waste stream in California. 1 in 5 Californians are food insecure when we're just throwing away edible food. Next slide, please. While regulations take effect in 2022, we have to plan now. I'm proud to say that there are many jurisdictions that have moved into planning for implementation, including the city of San Jose. So that's really awesome. Next slide, please. There are many benefits if we successfully implement California's super pollutant reduction strategy, including environmental benefits such as fighting climate change, improved air quality, and less landfill waste. If we invest now in organic waste management, we'll lower health costs. 2, we'll also be providing millions of meals to Californians without enough to eat. We have the opportunity to create resilience and not waste food. And number 3, creating thousands of new green jobs. Investing in infrastructure will pay off in the long term, but for private companies to invest, they need to know that we are committed to implementing the collection programs and that there will be feedstock. Recycling manufacturers are operating in the marketplace even during COVID times. Next slide. This slide provides a very brief overview of the program requirements that jurisdictions will be required to adequately staff and resource, which are shown on this slide. I will then briefly cover enforcement requirements. Sorry about that. Jurisdictions will be required to provide organic waste collection services to all residences and businesses. This is what we refer to as automatically providing service or universal service, in which the resident or business is automatically provided the service rather than subscribing to it. The regulations standardize container colors across the state to be fully implemented by January 1st of 2036. Sorry. And require a jurisdiction to place a label on each new container or lid provided to generators consistent with the container collection requirements starting January 1st of 2022. There are contamination monitoring requirements of the contents of the containers. Jurisdictions will typically delegate this task to their haulers. Jurisdictions can issue 3 types of waivers to the generators. These are de minimis, physical space, and collection frequency. The department can issue waivers to jurisdictions which delay or exclude implementation of some of the requirements. These are low population, rural exemption, and high elevation waivers. Jurisdictions are responsible to implement edible food recovery programs in their communities, and this includes assessing capacity of existing edible food recovery, establishing an edible food recovery program, and expanding existing infrastructure if necessary. Sorry about that. I'm having the worst allergies.
No problem. Take your time. Time of year.
Jurisdictions are responsible to implement conducting inspections of Tier 1 commercial edible food generators and food recovery organizations and services beginning 2022, and then inspections of Tier 2 beginning January 1st of 2024. Inspecting commercial Tier 1 and Tier 2 generators for compliance annually, and providing education and outreach. Jurisdictions must conduct annual education and outreach to all generators, and this includes info on methods for the prevention of organic waste generation, recycling organic waste on site, and sending organic waste to community composting. There are procurement requirements as well. You have to procure certain levels of compost, renewable gas used for transportation fuels, electricity, heating applications, or pipeline injection, or electricity from biomass conversion produced from organic waste. Each will have a minimum procurement target that is linked to population. Calorie Cycle will provide a calculator for jurisdictions to use to calculate progress towards meeting their target, and we will notify jurisdictions of their target prior to January 1st, 2022. Each jurisdiction must plan for adequate capacity for recycling organic waste and edible food recovery. Each county will lead this effort by coordinating with cities, special districts that provide solid waste collection services, and regional agencies located within the county. Calorie Cycle will provide a tool for organic waste capacity planning and edible food recovery capacity planning. Jurisdictions must monitor compliance and conduct enforcement. Monitoring and education begins January 2022, and jurisdictions must do an annual compliance review of commercial businesses. This is what you already do for your mandatory organics commercial recycling. And so it'll just be in addition to that. Jurisdictions using a 3 or 2 container organic waste collection service are required to monitor contamination. To reduce reporting, jurisdictions are required to maintain records and keep information in an implementation record. And each jurisdiction is required to report to the department annually on its implementation and compliance with the requirements of 1383. Requirements include adopting ordinances or an enforceable mechanism consistent with regulatory requirements prior to 2022. Next slide, please. SB 1383 extends beyond directing waste management and recycling operations and staff. This slide shows that every department in a local government will be affected and have a role to play. Each department will need to understand how SB 1383 impacts their work. Jurisdictions should be thinking and planning for the staff that they will need, whether they will task their direct service providers to staff some activities, and whether they will contract with other entities such as environmental health inspectors or consultants. Some examples are city councils will need to pass local ordinances to require all residences and businesses to subscribe. City managers and chief admin officers will be involved in capacity planning, directing procurement, and establishing edible food recovery programs. Finance and legal staff will be involved in local enforcement ordinances. Purchasing staff will be central to procuring recycled organic products. Public works staff are involved in hauler agreements. Public park staff may be involved in assessing a need for local compost application. Environmental health staff may be tasked with enforcement duties and inspections. And public transportation and fleet departments could be involved in procuring renewable gas for their fleet vehicles. Next slide, please. As I mentioned earlier, jurisdictions are required to monitor compliance and conduct enforcement. By January 1st, 2022, jurisdictions are required to have an enforcement mechanism or ordinance in place. Between January 2022 and December 2023, jurisdictions need to identify businesses in violation of the regulatory requirements and must provide educational materials to those generators.
Brianna, you're muted right now. Brianna, I appreciate that you're struggling right now. I've been there before, believe me. Would it help for us maybe to go to another part of the presentation and come back to this, Carrie? Just give Brianna a chance to take a break.
Yeah, Valerie and I have been texting that. Brianna, do you want to have a minute? You want to hand it over to Shika for a little bit?
Sure, yeah,
All right.
thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Liccardo. Shika, you want to dive in and then we'll circle back at the end?
I need to unmute myself. Yeah, I can do that. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council members, and guests. I'm Shikha Gupta, and Senior Environmental Program Manager, ESD with IWM Division. Thanks, Brianna, for providing us a summary, and we'll hear a little bit more in a little bit from you of this complex and comprehensive requirement that brings us here today. I will take this opportunity to discuss where we stand as a city in complying with these rules and what we need to work on. The San Jose community leads on climate change. Climate Smart San Jose, adopted by the City Council in 2018, lays out how we are doing our part to address climate change. It's a community-wide initiative to reduce air pollution, save water, and improve quality of life. We are in the process of folding in a zero waste element with references to SB 1383. We understand that the fight against climate change grows more urgent every day. By declaring a climate emergency in 2019, we have recommitted ourselves to being leaders in sustainability. We joined nearly 1,000 local governments across 18 countries that have declared a climate emergency. The City of San Jose's Zero Waste Plan 2008 sets a goal of zero waste by 2022, which is defined as landfilling no more than 10% or recycling 90%. Our current waste management programs have many components that help us to get closer to that goal. Our commercial and residential programs have been model programs for many cities. We focus on reducing per capita waste to landfill, ease of use, competitive rates, and increasing types of materials beneficially reused for our residents and businesses. We are fortunate to have a robust recycling infrastructure within and close to San Jose that helps keep our carbon emissions low. We are unique and have been able to maximize on this strength. Many of these facilities are among most advanced in country and service national benchmarks. Most of these facilities serve other local jurisdictions and also provide employment for San Jose residents. We have 5 major material recovery facilities, MRFs, MRFs, including a dry anaerobic digestion facility as well. So Republic Services, our commercial service provider, has a MRF on Newbie Island Resource Recovery Park in San Jose. The recyclery at Newbie Island is the most advanced recycling facility in the world with the ability to process more material per hour and recover very high percentages of recyclables. The system in place consists of 4 processing lines designed to process 400,000 tons per year. This processing system allows Republic Services to sort through organics and recyclables to divert as much material as possible from the landfill. Then our Zero Waste Energy Development, ZWED company, is our commercial organics processing provider. ZWED's dry fermentation anaerobic digestion facility is in San Jose, and it's the first large-scale commercial dry fermentation AD technology in the United States. It produces clean, green, renewable energy while simultaneously produces a feedstock for composting. It processes about 90,000 tons per year of organic waste. It is able to produce 2 types of products, power in form of electricity and materials that are directed to composting. Then Green Waste MRF, our green waste materials recovery yard, incorporates 3 distinct processing facilities, each designed to separate different types of materials: single stream recyclables, garbage, and mixed materials, MSW, and yard trimmings. Then Z Best is a composting facility located in Gilroy and processes yard trimmings into high-grade organic compost. It now recovers over 85% of all materials it receives. Calorie Cycling is a construction and demolition debris processing facility in San Jose. This facility is a national leader in the C&D world and has a high diversion rate as well. And California Waste Solutions MRF processes cities' recyclables collected from the residential stream. San Jose also owns Environmental Innovation Center, which houses the county's household hazardous waste collection program and serves San Jose residents. This facility is first City LEED Platinum certified for new construction or major renovations. City Hall is LEED Platinum for O&M for existing buildings. City waste is processed through one of these facilities, including all the organics collected through our residential and commercial streams. These facilities provide the backbone to our system. The city's residential solid waste program is robust and provides needed services to all our residents. It provides services to 220,000 single-family households and 115,000 plus multifamily units in 3,300 complexes. San Jose has 4 service providers that serve our residents: Green Waste Recovery, California Waste Solutions, Green Team, and Garden City Sanitation, Inc. So single-family dwellings, SFDs, have a 3-bin system, a black garbage bin, gray recycle bin, and an optional green yard trimmings bin. San Jose has a unique yard trimmings collection as loose in the street rather than in a bin. All material collected is processed to extract recyclables and or organics. MFDs, multifamily dwellings, have a similar setup of bins and processing. The residential program provides year-round, unlimited loose in the street yard trimmings collection, while some cities have seasonal loose in the street. So since 2008, residential garbage is sorted by Green Waste Recovery MRF to recover recyclables and organics, food-based and compostable paper, which is composted. This process is also referred to as back-end processing or mixed waste processing. We also provide unlimited recycling collection and unlimited large item collection junk pickup at no additional charge to our residents, collected by a CWS and Green Team. Our residential programs are focused on education, ease of use, and low costs. We provide a wider range of unlimited services, which brings great value to our residents. So here's a schematic that focuses on the flow of residential organic material through our system. Yard trimmings are collected either loose on the street or in bins, as I mentioned before. So this material is sorted at Green Waste MRF and yard trimmings line and then sent over to Z-Best compost facility to produce organic compost and landscape compost. Since these are clean yard trimmings, we receive 97% diversion from the landfill. The other stream of organics collected in the residential stream is the garbage in the black bin. In SFDs and green dumpsters and MFDs, the garbage contains all household organics along with other materials. These are also taken to the Green Waste MRF on the municipal solid waste line to extract recyclables and organics. Organics are then sent to the best compost facility and converted into compost. We receive 70% diversion on this material through this process. All residue, basically the material left over after the processing, is sent to New Bee Island landfill operated by Republic Services. Our commercial collection system is set up different than our residential collection system. The commercial collection and processing is provided by Republic Services, who is our exclusive franchise hauler. The organics are processed at Z-Wed, our dry AD facility. The system is an innovative wet-dry system where, as the name indicates, all wet material is collected in a wet green bin and all dry material is collected in a dry blue bin. Wet material is organics, food scraps, food soil, paper products, and landscape trimmings. Basically, if it was grown or raised, it goes in the wet bin. Dry material is everything else: bottles, cans, plastics, clean cardboard, paper, scrap metals, and non-organics. If a business generates a large amount of one of the dry materials, glass, cardboard, or plastic, they can get a customized or a white bin for improved recycling. So the businesses have an option of getting any one of the 3 types of bins or a combination of bins based on the type of waste they generate as a business. So this is called our 1+ bin system, another system set up for ease of use for our businesses. Republic Services serves over 10,000 businesses in the city. They also provide customer service, billing, and education. So just let's talk about the organics flow in the commercial system. As I mentioned earlier, all the materials collected by Republic Services and organics are collected in the wet bin. The wet bins are then directly delivered to ZWED, where they process the material to prepare for the anaerobic digestion process. The AD process produces electricity that runs the facility and digestate, which is then sent to ZWest for composting. Some dry material is also sent to ZWED and goes through a similar process. So this system achieves 60% diversion from the landfill. The residue is sent to the Newbie Island landfill for final disposal. ZWED is a commingled facility and serves other jurisdictions as well. So that's a complex, diverse, multifaceted solid waste system. Our system is set up to capture all organics and divert it from landfill. SB 1383 requires the same statewide effort to reduce emissions of short-lived climate pollutants by reducing organic waste disposal. Our collection processing system is just set up to exactly do that. But it comes with other specific requirements as discussed by Brianna earlier, and she'll continue on that. So in the near term, city is required to adopt ordinances on organic waste recovery, edible food recovery, self-haul of organics, Cal Green building standards, and model water efficient landscape standard and administrative penalties. So the city has an ordinance in place for Cal Green and MWELO requirements now. We also have some ordinances in place for organic waste recovery and penalties. We have to tweak them to meet the standards set forth in SB 1383. The staff needs to develop an ordinance for self-haul of organics. An edible food recovery program is a new endeavor for the city. The program needs to be developed and an ordinance adopted to build and administer the program. As I mentioned earlier, collection processing system is in great shape to meet the requirements of SB 1383 regulation. All residential waste is back in process for organics. Commercial organics are collected separately and sent to an AD facility for processing. We have a robust education and outreach program for residential and commercial system. ESD Communications Division works with IWM to provide outreach and education to cities, residents using various tactics. You may have seen City of San Jose Recycle's website that helps residents understand how to correctly recycle. Commercial program education and outreach is conducted by our hauler, Republic Services, through their outreach team. City staff support and guide that program. SB 1383 regulations require jurisdictions to monitor contamination in the containers to keep the organic stream clean. It can be done either through route reviews or waste evaluations. Our agreements cover ways of monitoring contamination through our haulers. It may require a more defined process to meet the specifications of the regulation. So the regulation requires mixed waste that is collected to be sent to a high diversion organics waste processing facility that recovers 50% of the organic content by January 1st, 2022 and 75% by January 1st, 2025. Currently, the residential material goes to such a facility already. We are working with our commercial haulers to ensure that this requirement is met. These processing facilities may need to make upgrades to make them high diversion organics processing facilities. Another major effort that city must embark upon is meeting the procurement target that is set by this regulation. Calorie Cycle's presentation covered these requirements earlier. So where do we stand as a city? City has an environmentally preferred purchasing policy, EP3, that is followed by departments as included and is included in the contracts now. The policy needs to be updated to align with these new requirements. Based on our current population, city is required to procure an estimated 83,500 tons or equivalent of qualifying recovered organic waste. This requires coordination with multiple departments, finance, DOT, PRNS, Public Works, San Jose Clean Energy, since many of these departments use some of these products like compost and mulch regularly. IWM staff have shared these requirements with the department so they understand the requirements and work on policy updates as needed. We are also looking at the current usage of these products to identify gaps in meeting our target. This will help define the policy updates for the city as well. IWM has some compost procured through their hauler agreement. So ZBest is required to provide 2,000 tons of compost annually at no cost, but currently we are not utilizing the entire amount each year. Also, city needs to have a reporting and record keeping system in place to manage all this information as written in the rules. So monitoring and enforcement is a critical piece that will be needed for collection programs, edible food recovery programs, and for self-haulers. Edible food recovery program requires inspections in Tier 1 edible food generators starting in 2022 and Tier 2 generators in 2024. The inspection program needs to verify they have arrangements with a food recovery organization and verify that these food generators are not intentionally spoiling food that can be recovered. These types of inspections will be new for our city. We will need to plan resources to conduct these inspections. IWM inspection team currently has 3 positions and then 4 solid waste municipal code requirements, chapter 9, 10, and our contracts. The enforcement team is not currently staffed to enforce these new SB 1383 requirements. City is required by rules to maintain all the information in implementation record. This graphic is a snapshot of items to be kept in the implementation record. Many sections require a minimum level of record keeping, such as ordinances, contracts, and franchise agreements. The implementation record needs to be stored in one central location. It can be kept as a physical or electronic record. It needs to be accessible to Calorie Cycle staff within 10 business days. It needs to be retained for 5 years. The Calorie Cycle staff may review the implementation record as part of an audit of our program. As displayed on this slide, the record management is very detailed and a central data management system requires a central data management system for the city. Each of the categories listed on the slide have more details that need to be managed in the record. This needs staff resources and a data management software, a centralized system for city staff, and potentially haulers who will be maintaining some of these records for us. Edible food recovery program is a component of the regulation that is not directly a waste management service. We, the city, are responsible to implement edible food recovery programs in our communities. This program is of great benefit to our residents who are in need. During the current pandemic and last year, city has provided more than 100 million meals to San Jose residents and the rest of the Santa Clara County. This requirement helps us stay on top of the food recovery hierarchy and meet the needs of our community. We need to strengthen our existing infrastructure for edible food recovery. These requirements set us up to continue city's efforts to work with our community and provide needed meals while being environmentally beneficial. As a jurisdiction, our required role with edible food recovery includes assessing capacity of existing food recovery, establishing food recovery program, and expand existing infrastructure if necessary, inspecting commercial generators for compliance, providing education and outreach to our generators. Even in communities where existing infrastructure already exists, there are new record keeping and inspection tasks that will need to be implemented. So the regulations have a 2-year education period, January 22 to December 23, before enforcement with penalties for generators begins in 2024. Since the rules have been finalized, we have started engaging regionally with our cities and with food recovery organizations and services. City staff is participating in county-wide work group to discuss potential collaborative efforts, and staff is waiting on additional county-wide and regional information to inform City Council for potential options for implementation next steps. We, San Jose, are the largest in the county and have a bigger stake in this program. Working regionally will provide more resources and support to generators and food recovery organizations and services. Food recovery organizations like Second Harvest have a regional program in place through their services where they also serve San Jose residents. So this slide just represents the coordination ESD staff have initiated with other departments in the city based on the type of requirement. Although SB 1383 includes solid waste management requirements, there are multiple parts to the rules that apply to many other services provided by various departments in the city. So as discussed by Calorie Cycle staff earlier, implementation of SB 1383 is a city-wide effort. IWM staff have been involved in the rulemaking process and have a basic understanding of the rules. Other departments' expertise is needed in implementing certain sections like procurement, food recovery, and data management. This slide shows current coordination efforts among departments and ongoing work that is required to meet the requirements set in the regulation. To summarize, in the near future, city needs to adopt required ordinances and update schedule of fines prior to the implementation date of January 1, 2022. These will be coming to council later this year. Collaboration among city departments is the key to successfully implement the programs and policies. Some additional resources are needed to provide enforcement of parts of the regulation and reporting requirements. As mentioned earlier, city needs to develop an edible food recovery program to serve the residents in need. So with that, thank you for your attention. At this point, I think I'll pass it back to Brianna if she's ready.
Yeah. Shik, if you could go to slide 19 and Brianna, if you could pick it up there. If not, Kara Morgan is also on board from Calorie Cycle. If you could round out the last bit of the Calorie Cycle information?
Yeah, hi, sorry about that. I think that I can continue, but we'll see.
Okay.
Okay, so to continue where we left off. So as I mentioned earlier, jurisdictions are required to monitor compliance and conduct enforcement. So by January 1st of 2022, jurisdictions are required to have an enforcement mechanism or ordinance in place. And in between January 2022 and December of 2023, jurisdictions need to identify businesses in violation of the regulatory requirements and provide educational materials. Beginning January 2024, jurisdictions must take progressive enforcement action against organic waste generators not in compliance.
Hey, Brianna. Hey, this is Kara. I'm going to just jump in real quick to wrap up, only because of time, and I do want to make sure I'm on for the last 15 minutes for any questions.
Okay.
Mind if I just jump on?
No, absolutely.
I think because if she has covered much of this and what the city is planning to do, so I'd like to kind of leave it to questions. But one last thing I'd like to say on jurisdiction enforcement is that you are able to design your enforcement program. There's a lot of flexibility built into the regulations, and we can talk more about that. With respect to Calorie Cycle's enforcement, while Calorie Cycle can start enforcing on jurisdictions come January 1, 2022, our approach is to utilize our enforcement process where we have egregious situations. So many jurisdictions, as Brianna started out, have suffered with dealing with COVID. And we know that that has put some jurisdictions behind in full implementation. With respect to City of San Jose, you have already done so much and are such a leader in this space. So the way this would be handled is if Calorie Cycle were to conduct a compliance evaluation, City of San Jose, because of all that you've already done, all that you're planning to do, would not be in our top of the pile for receiving a compliance evaluation. We're going to focus on those jurisdictions that have done things like fully implemented their mandatory commercial recycling programs, implemented their ordinance and other key programmatic aspects. So City of San Jose is really positioned well, is already doing so much. So I just want to say that to give you assurance, the regulations have been designed to provide Calorie Cycle with enforcement discretion. What that means is we don't have to issue a notice of violation. So if we were to conduct an evaluation, and if there was some aspect of City of San Jose's program that hadn't been yet put in place by January 1, we would have discretion to not embark on the enforcement process. And I just want to assure you, that would be our position with City of San Jose, because all of the work that you are doing, the leadership that you're exhibiting in this space. And I think, is that the last?
Kara, thank you. We like you more and more the more time we spend with you. So definitely appreciate the approach that Calorie Cycle is taking. We view you as a partner, and
yes.
I think that's mutual. So thank you.
It is mutual.
We thought
we just kind of go, Carrie, to questions or where you'd like to go next in our
we wanted to just give council a chance to ask some questions before we move to the next topic, so Calorie Cycle staff can move on to help the next city.
Okay, great. Why don't we go, we'll then take public questions at the end then when we do that. So questions from the council. Right, Vice Mayor Jones.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just a real quick question. This program is going to require a lot of funding and resources. And so my question is, can we expect to have the state provide the funding to implement this program?
That's a great question. As you can imagine, I'm asked that question by a lot of city councils. So unfortunately, in the legislation, the legislators did put in that this program would not receive state funding to jurisdictions for staffing, some of those internal programmatic needs that you have. There is state funding for infrastructure to expand infrastructure. So for example, I think Shika said, you know, when you talk about whether it's Zinker or ZWeb needing to expand or make improvements, you know, we do have funding, whether it's grant funding or low interest loan funding, and also tax incentives to help fund that infrastructure development. But when it comes to staffing and some of your internal costs, what the legislators put into the legislation that, again, like jurisdictions through AB 939 fees and assessments would pay for the program that way. So I'm sorry to be the bearer of that news.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Councilmember Davis?
Thank you. I think this question is for Carrie, but I just want to make sure I totally understand. For the new requirements, Carrie, it sounds like the edible food recovery is that the only thing we haven't done before, or is there some kind of compliance and enforcement activity that we haven't done before as well? I'm trying to what we haven't done.
There is a bit of additional enforcement that we need to do, and some things like container colors and labeling, et cetera. But the big dollar things, infrastructure-wise, are in place, except for food recovery. And given where we are in the world, food recovery is such a great opportunity for us to not only reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but also you know, feed the folks in our community that could use that. And so we think timing wise, it's you know, just a fortunate connection when you know, we're already in the food delivery business. It'd be great if we could take food that was going to landfills anyway, but we don't know how to do that yet. And we're not sure that the community really wants the garbage and wastewater people delivering their food, but we'll work that out as an administration. Kara, anything to add to that?
No, I think you nailed it. I think, you know, City of San Jose and the programs you have in place, we expect that there'll be little in the way of enforcement needed. You know, by providing automatically collection service to residential and commercial, that's a big aspect of enforcement. And I think, you know, with what Carrie shared with edible food recovery, you know, the first 2 years are really intended for education, because this is going to be new for some of the commercial edible food generators. So, you know, it's possible that come 2024, you may need to use an enforcement tool. But I think when it comes to edible food, these commercial generators are going to get on board. It's going to help them in reducing their trash costs, for example. It's the right thing to do. And I think, so I think we're going to see a lot of positives. So I don't expect, Councilmember, that there will be a lot in the way of enforcement that's needed. But you will have to have that ordinance just in case.
Okay, and then Kara, did I hear you in answer to Vice Mayor Jones's question? There's some kind of fee that we will be able to pass along this cost to the consumers?
Yeah, I think, you know, Councilor, it's going to depend on what the need is. So in some jurisdictions, they have through, for example, their franchise agreements, as they've done their rate adjustments, have worked in some of the fees to cover the cost of implementation. You know, I'd have to defer to Carrie and the team as far as where they're at with that. And in some jurisdictions, they have, through the franchise agreement revisions, have directed some of the franchise funding to go to fund the edible food infrastructure. Although you do have to be careful when it comes to, you know, Prop 218 and making sure that it's appropriate and all of that. But we have examples out there. City of LA is the biggest city who has done that, has required their franchise haulers, as a part of that franchise fee, a certain portion of that goes to fund edible food infrastructure. Carrie, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that.
No, thank you. We're still working that out. Ideally, we'd like to be part of a countywide solution, because the nonprofits like Second Harvest are telling us that's easier to administer. Mm-hmm. And so we're trying to work something out that is the most efficient and effective.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Perales?
Yeah, hi. Question. I'm curious, and I don't care how much you know, but Carrie, I imagine you do. Curious how an organization and a program like Hunger at Home and their model fits into this, this new requirement. And if you're not familiar with it, I can try to describe it.
Yeah, council member, I'm not familiar with it, but we have been, and Shika, you can maybe share. We've met with Second Harvest and a number of other food delivery organizations, and we're trying to elicit what their expertise, frankly, and so we can add that group to our list of folks that we engage with, because we really think there is a system in place that with just a little bit of augmentation could be really effective. So rather than have the city create something new, we want to see where we might, just by funneling some money or some additional support, we could get more out of what's already there.
Yeah, I would definitely add them to your outreach, and let me know if you need assistance in that. But their model has been pretty successful in diverting food waste, and they've at this point now partnered with large institutions like Levi's, for instance, right? And so you're talking about huge amounts of food that would have otherwise gone to waste being diverted, and actually going to places, right, that obviously directly helping those in need. And so yeah, I guess that would be the biggest thing, would just be to ensure you add them to the list.
Oh, thank you. We definitely will do that. Appreciate that.
And that was it for me. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I really appreciate Councilmember Peralez's comments. Yul Sterner's really, with Hunger at Home, got a pretty good network focusing on the convention center, a lot of hotels, supermarkets, repurposing a lot of otherwise wasted food for the benefit of a lot of people. I'd also just point to one other great community resource, which is a program called Waste No Food, which a teenager by the name of Kieran Sherdhar started about 5 or 6 years ago with an app that would enable folks to be able to identify where large food producers might be producing a lot of food that's not being utilized. And so I know his family and others have joined in to expand that program. And I think Joint Venture Silicon Valley is also doing something. So I just think there's a lot of partners here. I hate to think that we'd spend any extra city effort reinventing their wheels. So look forward to seeing how we can make this happen. I guess the question I had, though, is knowing that there are folks out there doing this good work in hotels, in convention centers, at the stadium, for example, at 49er Stadium. Other than restaurants, this isn't something that we're going to be talking about, like recycling household food, are we? Is this just major commercial producers?
Carrie, you want to take that one?
Sure. Yeah, thank you. So we're talking about, they really are larger commercial entities.
Okay.
It's a range. We didn't show the slide, and I think your team could follow up. There's 11 categories. They are hotels of a certain size. Oh, there we go. We'll go back to it. There are, oh no, I don't think we have it in this presentation, but there are actually schools that have on-site food facilities.
Yeah.
Large wholesale food vendors, supermarkets and grocery stores that meet a certain size. Health facilities, these are larger health facilities.
Got it. Okay.
Beds, so kind of big ones. Schools, I think, kind of for me are kind of the smallest. Some large venues and events.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And then, I always kind of scratch my head about the different approach we have on the commercial side versus the residential side. And, the wet and dry distinction seems to make some sense. I know we rolled that out after we created the residential process. And Carrie, I'm just wondering why don't we use our yard waste bin for food waste? Why can't I just dump food waste in that, since it's all going in the same place?
Well, because we do loose in the street. And so it would be a bit chaotic and unsanitary if people were putting their food waste in the street.
Right.
And that is the cleanest waste stream that we have, because people, in the carts, they can sort of hide things. as we know, and loose in the street, that doesn't happen. And so instead we do the back end sorting on the residential. And so we get anything someone didn't sort out, like a can, a bottle, but then we also get all the organics. So it's a pretty efficient process from the single family side.
If folks are using bins though, let's imagine they're not putting it on the street. Wouldn't it make more sense just to put food waste in with the yard waste, or am I screwing everything up?
It could, but it would be a pretty dramatic change for us. And so as we look forward for improvements, it's definitely something that we might want to consider. I would guess predominantly in the multifamily sector. It might make more sense since we're having challenges there anyway. But yeah, we're looking at options to kind of get the best out of it. But since we are back end sorting, we're kind of locked into to meeting the expectations. And now we're just looking at, can we get a better quality product?
Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions? If not, we'll move on. Thanks.
Kara and Brianna, thank you so much. And Brianna, I hope you're still out there somewhere.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, guys.
Thanks for having us. And again, thank you so much for your leadership in this space. We're extraordinarily grateful. Take care.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Karen.
All right, thank you. This is Valerie Osmond again. So still in the world of solid waste, but shifting gears and going to a distinctly different topic. So we are going to talk next about the residential single family recycling contamination study results. And we have representatives from San Jose's recycling companies who are also attending the meeting. Glenn Holsenberg from California Waste Solutions and Brett Faulkner from Green Team, and they will be available to answer any questions about our residential recycling. We can move to the next slide. So a little bit more detailed information about our residential garbage and recycling services. I touched on it earlier and Shika touched on it as well. But our residential and garbage recycling program is one of the largest privatized residential solid waste programs in the country, serving all of San Jose's households. We divert waste from landfills, which has a positive impact on greenhouse gases and the climate. Our innovative programs and pilots place us ahead of the curve on many fronts, particularly in 1383, as you just heard. And this is achievable through our very strong partnerships with our service providers. San Jose has 4 service providers that serve our residents. California Waste Solutions collects and processes single-family recycling in districts A and C, as you can see on the slide there. And Garden City Sanitation collects single-family garbage in districts A and C. Green Team collects single-family garbage and recycling in District B, multi-family dwellings citywide, and garbage and recycling at city facilities. Green Waste collects yard trimmings citywide, and they also process garbage from single-family, multi-family, and city facilities. Green Waste also collects and processes citywide public litter can waste. Unique to San Jose, we have year-round unlimited loose in the street yard trimmings collection. We have unlimited recycling collection, and we have a very successful unlimited large item collection or junk pickup collection at no additional charge to our residents. And the junk pickup program is collected by both California Waste Solutions and Green Team. Since 2008, garbage is sorted at Green Waste to recover recyclables and organics, and it's composted, and this process is also referred to as back-end processing or mixed waste processing. Also unique to San Jose, we have single-family billing through property tax billing, which eliminates the need for traditional bi-monthly or monthly utility billing services and liens. This diagram, I know, looks very complicated and detailed, but it illustrates the processes that occur after residents set their material out at the curb. What it is intended to illustrate is really that no waste stream in San Jose is directly landfilled. We process all garbage, recycling, and yard trimmings at facilities to recover material and divert waste from landfill. Organics from garbage processing and source-separated yard trimmings become compost, some of which is reused in San Jose parks and city facility landscapes. Next slide. The majority of our single-family homes have 32-gallon garbage carts and 96-gallon recycling carts. The 32-gallon carts are the least expensive option, and the size of the recycling cart really does not have a price associated with it. It's a service that's included in the garbage cart subscription level. Next slide. So from 2015 to 2020, single-family garbage has increased steadily each year, and it's about an average of 2% annually. And over the last 5 years, San Jose's population has also grown about 1% annually. The number of people per household has remained steady at 3.22 in 2016 to 3.19 in 2020. Recycling tons collected has been a little bit more volatile. It's even declined in some years as residents' behavior has changed. On average, recycling growth has been slightly decreasing. So from this chart, you can see the significant increase in both garbage and recycling materials that we've experienced just in this last year. The residential program has experienced a lot of impacts from COVID. The solid waste and recycling workers have been deemed essential. Stay-at-home orders have increased residential waste and decreased commercial waste. We've seen a big increase in single-use disposables like takeout containers, personal protective equipment, and plastic bags. And despite some challenges, our residential services have continued uninterrupted. Our service providers have adapted to the recycling market, contrasting to other programs in the US who have had to scale back or halt some services. Even our public outreach has pivoted to more online tactics in the last year. These graphs compare daily tons collected before and after the shelter-in-place orders. This information is based on the same time periods, April to December, in 2019 and 2020. Garbage tons increased by 8% as compared to the same time period the year prior. This is a large increase compared to the gradual 2% increase we've been seeing over the last 5 years. This is largely due to residents disposing of more waste while being at home instead of being in the office or at school. Recycling tons has increased by 17% as compared to the prior year. This is a tremendous increase of materials in recycling carts. And these are tons collected at the curb before being sorted. We attribute this to many residents ordering things online, generating a lot of packaging, and unfortunately, I think we are also seeing a lot of contamination as some residents are not recycling right and are placing excess garbage in their recycling carts. So recycling contamination is defined as items that are not in our program, they're not accepted in our program, and it can also be recyclable items that are no longer recyclable because they've become dirtied or soiled. Recycling processing residue is the material that's been delivered to the service provider's material recovery facility for processing, but it didn't meet the recycling market specifications after processing and was disposed of at the landfill. Residue can also contain contaminated recyclable material and garbage. The photo in the upper right shows an overflowing recycling cart and with what appears to be a bag of garbage at the top. So although many residents are sheltering in place and disposing of more garbage, we have not actually seen any increase in requests to upsize garbage carts in 2020. The bottom photo shows a pile of residue after processing material from recycling carts at a materials recovery facility through a system of both manual and automated processes. Unfortunately, we've seen a large increase of about 33% in recycling residue or contamination between 2019 and 2020. COVID's impact on our waste stream, unfortunately, is not yet over. And this information indicates that while we've seen a dramatic increase in material, we have not seen residents respond by putting more, and residents are responding by putting more garbage in their recycling carts. Next slide, please. So program recyclables vary by jurisdiction. Here in San Jose, the program materials that we include are following the general categories of plastics labeled with numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7, metals, paper, and glass. And then items that are not accepted in the recycling cart are household garbage and food soiled containers, yard trimmings, food and liquid, bulky items that could be collected through our junk pickup program, household hazardous waste that could be dropped off at no cost through the county's program. Packaging such as plastic film, mixed material, bubble wrap envelopes, plastic bags, diapers and pet waste, the recycling tracing arrows number 6, which is expanded polystyrene, also known as styrofoam, and textiles. So our single family recycling characterization studies were conducted in 2008, 2015, and then most recently in 2020. Our recycling contracts now require a third-party study every 2 years. Hauler compensation gets adjusted up or down every 2 years based on the outcome of the study. This particular photo is of our SCS engineers doing a sort at the California Waste Solutions Materials Recovery Facility. And with that, I'm going to hand the presentation off to Stacy Demers and Lisa Coelho of SCS Engineers, who conducted the study, and they're going to talk more about our single-family recyclable study.
Okay. Hi, I'm Stacy Demers. I'm with SCS. Just to quick background, I've been involved in waste characterization studies for almost 30 years. When I say waste, I mean we characterize waste streams, we characterize source separated recyclables, and we characterize organics and even residuals. It's always been my feeling that looking at the waste stream and understanding the types of materials and the quantities is the best step, the first step and most important step in trying to design your programs, especially if you're trying to divert them away from a landfill. Next slide. Oh, you could go to the next slide. I think you saw this before, this map. This is the city of San Jose, and we have the 3 districts where recyclables are collected. Talking to the service providers, we found out that in A, there's an average of 22 routes per day. Each route is a different geographic area. So if you think about it over the course of a week, considering all residents, residential residents get their recyclables collected once per week, there's 110 routes in A to cover all of the residential pickup for recyclables. And so if we looked at the number of routes per day and then extrapolate for the week, we can see that there's about 240 geographic areas in the county from which recyclables are collected. Now, later on, we found out District B really only had 9 routes per day, which meant 45 routes per week. So it was 235 routes, and we adjusted. But we also had a COVID outbreak towards the end of our study. So we were able to get 216 samples instead of our target of 240, but yet I feel the study was pretty comprehensive. We had a big goal in the beginning to try to collect a sample from every single route. And I thought that was oversampling, but it would give a good representation of the recycling for the entire city. Next slide. Just so you know, we do a lot of these studies, these characterization studies, and sometimes, to try to get every route, a sample from every route and sort it into different materials, we were looking at 5 weeks of work. But with COVID and all the extra precautions, having to wear a mask, having to socially distance, created it was a very difficult work environment. And I will say we had a lot of support from CWS and Green Waste. They provided a lot of support to us, and they were very great to work with. It's just that working in those conditions, sorting the material, keeping true to cleanliness protocol, socially distance, keeping social distance, and to maintain proper hygiene the whole time was just difficult. So we broke it up. We tried to do no more than 2 weeks at a time. So you can see that, it was over the course of several weeks, but there were 5 weeks of sorting. Next slide. Now, this is kind of a busy slide, but it goes to show you the different materials. When we got a sample, each sample would be about 150 pounds, and the materials were sorted into these categories. Now, one thing you'll see here, it's called RRFS, and with our contract with the city, it's called RRFS, stands for Residential Recyclables for Studies. These are things that are supposed to be in the recycling cart. And you can see for paper, plastic, metal, and glass, we characterize these different recyclable materials by sorting them through our sample and deriving a weight for each one of these. Non-RRFS should be considered contamination. So one of the big criteria was that material to be counted as recyclable needed to be clean and dry. And so if we found a large amount of cardboard, but it was wet due to something in the load, we didn't find that as recyclable. So it was put in the contaminated category, this non-RRFS category. Some things that we did during the study, for instance, sometimes you might see these different containers. They could be plastic or metal or even glass. But if they had a large amount of food product in them, they weren't empty. We didn't require them to be super clean, but we did require them to be mostly empty. For instance, if a jar of peanut butter, half full of peanut butter, we did not scrape out the peanut butter. Instead, the container, in addition to the peanut butter inside, all got put in the other category down on the bottom there. Same thing, for very small materials, under 3 inches in all dimensions. Sometimes you can have a lot of very small materials. They could be plastic bottle caps mixed with coffee grounds, mixed with some lottery tickets and some paper clips. It would take you hours to try to separate very small materials, and we didn't think they were necessarily recyclable. So material that was very small, broken pieces of glass would fit in there. That was called, we called those fines, and they were characterized as other material.
Hi, Stacy. I'm going to ask if you could move a little bit faster through this. We have a ton of material, and I know our council kind of wants to get to what the answer is too.
Sure.
But if we can move a little bit faster, that'd be great.
No problem. Let's go on. So here are the results. Okay. So what we're calling RRFS, those are the things that are in recycling that should be recycling. By weight, it's 49%. So the big issue is, contaminants, different types of contamination, dirty material, or things that shouldn't be placed in the recycling cart at all, comprise 51% by weight of residential curbside recyclables. And just next slide. Just to show that in a pie graph, you could see just 49% are things that should be in recycling. Most of it is cardboard, mixed paper, and recyclable glass. That comprises the biggest components, top 3 components of the recyclable materials in the carts. But you can see on this side that's rust colored, other materials being 23%, and then contaminated paper, 13%. Those are the biggest contaminants in the residential recycling. And I know people often ask me, what is an other material? I think I covered sometimes it's containers filled with food, but it could also be a mess of different materials. Sometimes they're indistinguishable. Sometimes we don't know what they are. If we found something like a motor or a car bumper, those are things we would find in recycling. We would put them in composite metal. But still, it was something that shouldn't have been in the recycling cart, and therefore it was classified as a contaminant. Next slide. These are our samples as we move forward. I think we said we had 3 districts, A, B, and C. I put this as a time series, A is in red, B is in yellow, B is in green, District C is in yellow. And this is just to look to see if there was a pattern that emerged from a particular district of certain types of contamination. And we can see that there's a wide range in these recycling samples, that it doesn't seem to be specific or highly indicative of a single district, that contamination is something that's very spread out across the city. Next slide. This looks at the major materials when I'm talking paper, plastic, metal, glass, the recyclable materials, and then this category called non-RRFS, which is also contamination. And so we can see in District A, we have a little bit more contamination than the other two districts. You can see that that bar is higher, but districts B and C also have fairly high contamination, definitely over 40%. But District A definitely has the highest percentage. The other thing that's interesting is District B has the most amount of glass. That's a heavy material, so that represents a greater portion of District B's waste stream. Next slide. The next three slides, we looked at the recyclable materials by district, by day of the week. And that's because each day of the week is a different geographic area. And so we were looking to see for any trends, to see if anything popped out. In general, it's interesting checking in with the sorting crew every day. They thought Tuesdays and Thursdays were typically the dirtiest and wettest days. And that did come true in the data, especially for District A. So you can see that Tuesdays and Thursdays are the highest, have the highest contamination, but they all have quite a bit of contamination, you know, somewhere around the 50%. Next slide. District B, a little bit less contamination. It's interesting that paper's a little bit low on Thursdays for District B, but they probably make it up by having, that's where they have most of their glass on Thursdays. But overall, in District B, for day of the week, there doesn't seem to be a lot of variability by day of the week. And next slide. And then District C is the only one that had a high degree of contamination on Wednesdays. But still, Tuesday and Thursdays were also very high. And so that is something that could help target the higher contaminated loads if we're going back and trying to improve education efforts to try to get people to recycle right. And that summarizes the results.
Great, thank you so much, Stacy and SCS engineers, for conducting this study during a particularly challenging time. Appreciate your perseverance and all of that. So what do all of these study results mean to us? As Stacy touched upon, the different routes that were sampled range from about 600 to 950 households per route. And you can see that the bulk of the contamination levels fell into the 41 to 60% range. And then we did have quite a significant number that went higher than 61 or 61% or higher for that total citywide average of 51% contamination. Next slide. So in 2015, our single family recyclable study found that there was about a 32% contamination rate. And in working with our consultants, with SCS engineers, it's estimated that our 2020 level, if not for COVID, the impact may have been about 34%. And instead, you know, we're seeing 51%. So that 2020 level that was measured during COVID is very significant. And there were not a lot of other cities that did studies this last year because of COVID. One city, the city of Monterey, did conduct a study in 2020, and their recycling contamination increased dramatically as well by about 8 percentage points. Ours went up closer to 15 percentage points. Next slide. So the reasons that this impacts us is during our contract extension negotiations to address concerns about the amount of non-recyclables present in the recycling carts. One of our deputy city managers and our ESD directors worked closely with our haulers to develop a potential new recycling compensation structure that adjusts the contractor payment based on the amount of non-recyclables present in the material collected. So this compensation structure was presented to council in 2019, and it operates by the percentage of as the percentage of non-recyclables increases, the compensation increases. And as the percentage of non-recyclables decreases, the compensation would also decrease. The percentage of non-recyclables collected would be determined by a third-party consultant conducted once every 2 years, and the potential new compensation structure substantially changes the contractual relationship between the city and our service providers. With the previous residential agreements, the service providers realize the benefits, essentially millions of dollars that come in from recyclables revenue, and the costs. That's the handling and disposing of non-recyclable materials. Under the new compensation structure, the service providers continue to retain the sales revenues related to recycling and also receive additional compensation from ratepayers as the percentage of non-recyclables collected increases. Additionally, because less non-recyclables found in the recycling carts would reduce ratepayer costs, it would become more crucial that outreach provided by the city would influence resident behavior to encourage recycling rate. Next slide. So the information from our contracts on this slide show how contamination levels impact compensation to both Green Team and CWS, who are our single family, and our single family rates. So this is based on the outcome of single family recycling study where our contamination has increased approximately 19%. And we are projecting an $8 million increase in compensation for both Green Team and CWS combined, which increases single family rates by 7%. So we do have tools in place that help reduce contamination and recycle right, while also giving residents an option to dispose of extra garbage. We really encourage upsizing of garbage carts if a resident is consistently experiencing excess garbage. And we sell extra garbage stickers for $6.25 at Lucky's and Safeway if residents occasionally have extra garbage. We have a very robust and multifaceted outreach and marketing campaign aimed at recycling right and reducing contamination. And we're implementing a recycling cart lid replacement pilot project. On the next slide. So later this month, we're going to be launching a pilot to test the effectiveness of a recycling cart lid with information on items that should and should not be placed into the recycling cart. The lid will have visual graphics and trilingual text. The pilot is partly grant funded, and it includes nearly 5,000 households on routes with moderate to high contamination levels in areas where English, Spanish, and Vietnamese are the primary languages. And the pilot will help measure whether this additional public education piece helps lower recycling contamination. A waste consultant will be performing this analysis, and staff anticipates having a completed report of results by the end of the fiscal year. This concludes our presentation on single-family residential recycling contamination, and Carrie is going to talk about our residential garbage and recycling customer rates next.
Thanks, Valerie. So, you know, we've heard about SB 1383 and the impacts that will have on programming, and also, you know, recognizes the advanced work that we've done so that we're already in place to meet the intent of most of that regulation. And then we heard about the cart contamination and how that is impacting rates. And so that leads us to your direction in February, which was to come back and talk about the options for customer rate changes in advance of the department sending out Prop 218 required notices of rate increases. So we do need to send those rate notices out next week. And we wanted to get your input and also share with you some of the work that we've done since we last met. And so with that, if we could go to the next slide. In February, we shared that single family rates were projected to increase about $8.21 a month or $1.89 a week for single family, which is a 21% increase. Multifamily is at 7%. All of our bills go to the property owner. For single family, they are billed on the tax rolls, and we bill them on the tax rolls because when we made that transition, it does wind up saving us administrative costs, and it avoids, at the time we were sending out about 4,000 lien notices a month. to lien property owners for failure to pay. So, so we get more direct payment, and it's a more efficient billing process for us. One of the questions we get asked a lot, and you all were curious about this in February, is can we do low income rate assistance? And unfortunately, Prop 218 does not allow for that. Prop 218 requires us to bill for the services provided and have everyone pay their fair share. So we're not allowed to do that through the rate systems, but we are allowed to use other tools to offset some impacts. And we'll talk about those in a little bit. If we could go to the next slide. So, so why are we at 21% and 7%? Well, when we did the new contracts, extending the contracts with our haulers, there was a one-time adjustment. Those new prices were effective last year. But last year we didn't increase rates as much as we should have because of COVID. We had no idea at the time it would last this long. And because of COVID, we collectively made the decision to sort of extend those out and put them off for a little bit. So that's quite a bit of the rate right now is pushing that down the road a little bit. And then the contamination, it's 15% above the baseline. And when we went into negotiations with the haulers, one of the concepts we explored mutually was how could we share some risk? So rather, when folks bid long-term 15-year contracts, they're trying to mitigate their risk. And so our hauler partners were very clear on the big risks that mattered to them. And one was that, hey, if contamination in the recycling cart continues to go up, then they have to have more sorters. They're picking up more material. They have higher landfill costs for the non-recyclables, and they make less money because there's less recyclables to market. So they would bear a lot of cost. And so we came up with the model that Valerie just described because we were able to keep the base price lower. And then as we in-sourced outreach, we thought we're going to invest a lot in behavior change in our city. And we were confident that we could positively influence contamination. Our consultants are telling us that the majority of this increase is related to COVID. So if not for COVID, our contamination wouldn't be this high. And so I don't know that calling it a COVID surcharge is necessarily accurate, but if not for COVID, we wouldn't have this additional 8-ish% increase. And then I talked about the one-time offsets, and then the normal cost of living annual increases for our haulers. Many of our haulers have contractual requirements for employee compensation, and then they have the normal escalation of energy and landfill costs, et cetera. If we could go to the next slide. So the way that breaks down is 31% of the single family increase is related to the new pricing. And then that gray 10% is cost of living. The gold is sort of some one-time savings, and then 30% of it is recycling contamination. Multifamily doesn't have the contamination component in their contracts. When we were talking about risk sharing with our haulers, contamination wasn't as much of a concern in the multifamily arena, but that sector is experiencing high levels of contamination, and it is something that we are exploring, and we may need to do some adjustments in recognition of that. We are coming up with some other programmatic solutions that we think will resolve the problem. We'll bring those to you in the coming months. Next slide. So just for perspective, we are still on the lower end for garbage collection and recycling services. So when you look at this rate comparison, we don't know how others will increase rates. And so we're still below some other cities, but we're also much farther ahead in terms of SB 1383 compliance. So some of these cities are going to have to make Herculean efforts in the coming years to get into compliance, which would translate into more significant rate increases than we expect to have. Because recall, when contamination goes up, we pay more, but we expect it to go down a year and a half from now when we do the next curbside audit, and then those rates would go down accordingly. So we're hoping it's just a 2-year where we're paying that additional contamination charge. But our rates are competitive. These other cities also do not have unlimited junk pickup, and they also don't have unlimited yard trimming. And so you can see it also the same, well below countywide average in multifamily as well. And we would expect the countywide average to go up as other cities start to embark on their 1383 compliance. Next slide. So in February, you asked us to explore some reductions, and we shared 4 buckets that we thought made sense, and you asked us to continue to explore those. They were continuing to freeze staff positions. We have been doing that since last year in the Integrated Waste Management Division. Use of O&M reserves and fund balance, service reductions to residents. More specifically, there was an interest in reducing junk pickup, and then seeking and using one-time federal funds. So next slide. Our recommendation is that we use fund balance, and that would reduce the increase by 2%, which would get us to 19%, which is an increase of $7.43 a month for single family. And those rates will come to you for council consideration at the June 15th meeting. So today we're just talking about what level of rate increase we will notice to the community. And I'm sure the community will have feedback on that. So we want to make sure that we're sharing with you all the options that we've come up with. And so Valerie, next slide. So the top one is what we just talked about, that 2%. And then we also are suggesting that we might dip into the O&M reserve. That's not something that we normally do. That we have a O&M reserve of $14 million for this fund, and that is used as a backstop against revenue collection problems or sudden surges in emergency costs. We bill SFD on the property tax rolls. We do not bill MFD, multifamily, on the property tax roll. And if there were any sudden emergency costs, it could be a little bit risky. The reserve is equal to 1 month of operating costs, so it's not a very deep reserve, but it is consistent with how we budget for our other utility funds. While it's not optimal, our budget office and our finance department are comfortable with using $2.4 million of the reserve to reduce the rate to 17%, or $6.65 a month, or an additional $1.53 a week. But because we're suggesting we dip into the O&M reserve, we do need to recharge that fund. We can't leave it that low for an extended period of time, but we would propose that we phase it in over a 2-year period. And then that brings us to, in 2023-24, we are optimistic that the contamination levels would drop. And so that cushion would be created by the reduction in that 30% increase that we're seeing, that $7-8 million increase we're seeing because of the contamination due to COVID. So next slide. We are not recommending that we continue to freeze vacancies. San Jose, as our Integrated Waste Management Division, as with many city operations, we are the most leanly staffed of anyone that we benchmarked with. We have, Valerie, have about how many people in the residential section?
Less than a dozen.
Yeah, so we have about a dozen people in ESD managing the entire residential program, which includes the enforcement folks. We just don't think that it's prudent to continue to run holding vacant positions. We need to get up to speed on some of the things that we've put off for a bit. We don't recommend limiting junk pickup. Junk pickup has been very popular throughout the city, and we think that the communication effort to reduce that would be very significant. And we can't move it up and down. We just can't. Our haulers have staffed up with equipment and people to provide this service. They've done a great job for us, as we've mentioned in the past. We're one of the few cities that still have this service operating during COVID, and we think they're doing a great job. And we don't think we should pull back on it. We also believe that the residents have the material, and it will be more expensive to hire someone through Craigslist or another resource, and we're not confident the material will wind up at the right place. We do believe it would wind up in the neighborhood, which would then have to be picked up by the rapid team and incur additional costs to the general fund. We've been asked, well, hey, how many people use this service? And about 33% of households in the city use it. And of those 33%, 45% of participating households have used it and picked up more than 6 items. So they've done more than 2 or 3 item pickups. Every council district, and we have the numbers by district, is over 30%, except for Council District 3 and Council District 7 are at 29%. And Council District 5 is the highest user at 37%. So we're seeing, really good participation citywide, and we think it's a service that should continue and should not be pulled back on. And we also think it might have peaked a little bit, because you may recall at the onset of COVID, none of the nonprofits were accepting any donations, and people still had things they needed and wanted to move out of their residence. And then the use of federal funds. There's a lot of priorities for those federal funds, and our organization is going to have to decide where those dollars should be spent. Should they be spent to offset residential garbage fees, or should they be offset through another resource? And so we're not recommending right now that we allocate those funds to offset Recycle Plus rate increases, but certainly looking forward to hearing your feedback on that. So next slide. So the rate notices will be sent out in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese, a maximum rate increase, which again, we are recommending at 17%. And they will go out the week of April 19, because Prop 218 requires them to be delivered to property owners, and for the property owners to have 45 days to protest the rates. And the rates are set to be heard on June 15th council meeting. And so with that really quick rundown on rates, we're looking forward to your input and feedback and questions.
Thank you, Carrie. And thank you, Valerie. Thank you, everyone, for your work. Obviously, difficult decisions ahead here for all of us. I know we have several members of the community who are here. Why don't we go to public comment first? We'll allow everyone to speak for up to 2 minutes on this issue. And if you could please raise your hand if you would like to be called on any of these items that we've discussed today, just again, focusing on garbage and recycling. Roland, welcome.
Well, thank you, Mayor. So with your permission, I'd like to go back to slide number 13 and talk about the SpaceX solution for exporting methane outside the atmosphere. Currently, the SpaceX launch vehicle is called a Falcon 9, which has got 9 rocket engines, which use some kind of aircraft fuel for propulsion. But the problem they're facing is that they want to go to Mars. There's no way to produce kerosene on Mars. So they've come to the conclusion that they can produce both oxygen and methane on Mars. So they are developing a new launch vehicle, which you've probably seen exploding on a regular basis. They're actually methane explosions. That's got a new kind of engine that uses methane and oxygen for propulsion instead of kerosene. Right now in Texas, they're building a methane plant to fuel their prototypes. But they've also got in the works a new launch vehicle, which essentially will be a tanker that will do refueling outside the Earth orbit, in space. these tankers will be able to carry up to 100 tons of methane at a shot, and basically take that methane out of the Earth's atmosphere, which I think could be benefit our environment. So in closing, I don't believe that sending our methane to Texas is reasonable. But however, should California consider inviting SpaceX to build a launch facility in the Mojave Desert, we would then be able to export methane from anywhere in California to that facility for SpaceX to do what they want to do with it. And now back to you and back to Earth.
Thank you, Mr. Brun. Mr. Beekman?
Hi, thank you. In the wide range of issues of this special council meeting and to try to address more than Senate Bill 1383, I hope the San Jose area can look to and want to improve upon the interesting use of subsidies by East Bay Community Energy, the EBCE, at this time. As San Jose programs of garbage and recycling, community energy, and water will all be questioning the use of subsidies in the coming months. 4 questions to consider. As higher income residents should be doing fairly well in this era of COVID-19, they can simply afford to pay a higher rate at this time. How can subsidies be developed and used in San Jose at this time to minimize the rate hike process, and more specifically, to not offer any sort of rate increase at all to residents of lower income and their sad new struggle of paying bills? Question 2, how can this be an open community process of questions and dialogue? Question 3, can San Jose city government, local government agencies, and community first learn to practice to balance the books and rely on straight federal funding that may not have to involve the use of subsidy programs at all? And finally, question 4, as large earthquake, wildfires, and an increased sea level rise may all be causing problems to the San Jose SFA area in the next 5 to 10 years, ideas of equity and natural disaster emergency preparedness should always be considered, and with current subsidy questions. An overall simple current tiered subsidy system has to be better addressed and realized in the future of the haves and the have-nots. And there needs to be a nuanced, sensitive, open, creative thinking of future subsidy programs that can respect our past traditions, along with openly developing, carrying new ideas of positive sustainability that are part of the many good steps and practices in how to better leave this era of COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beekman. All right, returning to the council for questions. Councilmember Cohen.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And thanks, Carrie and your staff, for that very thorough presentation. A lot of data. I love all the study information. First question, the study's done every other year, right, in 2018 and 2020?
Yes.
And the contamination rates that we get otherwise are just based on what happened, what's measured by weight at the sorting facilities. So we know what 2019's contamination rate was without the study, right?
No, we don't. So we hadn't done a contamination study in a while. The prior contracts were predicated on what was known at the time of the bid, and then it was silent on if contamination changed.
No, but you did talk about the increase from 2019 to 2020 that has the COVID change and everything else on contamination going from 30% to 51%.
Which was based on our last study. And Valerie, the last study was in 2012, 2011? 2015, time flies.
So 2015, and those were just projected numbers. So the numbers, really the last time we knew how much contamination there was 2015.
Yes, and it wasn't as extensive as a study as we did this time.
Okay, so we don't know for sure that it was how much increase there was, but I guess we're assuming based on past trends what the increase was.
Yes, and then as you highlighted, going forward, we'll always know.
And how do the detailed study data, how do they influence what we do going forward? In other words, we know now some geographic information. What kind of guidance will that give you in terms of what happens next?
So what's really cool about the study is, rather than just saying what's happening across the United States, we can see what's happening in our own town, and we can talk specifically and intentionally to our residents about hey, we're seeing a lot of this material, let's pay attention to that. And we can go down to neighborhood levels if we need to, but it gives us a good idea of what is working and what isn't. So as we, try some things on, Valerie mentioned we're doing a cart study, a cart lid study. We'll be able to measure what's working and what's not based off of the study. So we think we'll have a lot better data for our communications to our residents. But we also think because we'll know what is recyclable in the cart, we can look to say, are there industries we want to start up locally to take advantage of the materials that are being put at the curb in our own neighborhood.
And you said we're doing a cart study this year. That we don't normally do detailed studies on the off year, right? So this is something we've already planned to do more detailed analysis in certain areas.
Yes, we're trying additional labeling on recycling cart lids. So when you go out, every day or two to empty your recycling, it kind of tells you what is and isn't recyclable. And we want to see if that sort of point of disposal is helpful to reminding residents, because it's been very challenging to know if people are hearing or seeing messages we're communicating.
Yeah, it's confusing even to those of us who try to pay attention. So that's good. I guess what I'm asking is that there will be some detailed then study of those collection points that will still be going on this year, even though it's not a normal study year, right?
Yes, because we don't want to buy 160,000 cart lids if it's useless.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, so we want to make sure it makes sense before we buy that, we place that order.
And since we know some geographic information about which routes and which areas have more contamination, are we going to focus some of those efforts in those areas?
We are. So, and we have been doing that. We have been using census data and other data points to focus kind of whether it's language or frequency. And now we have another piece of the puzzle to further inform how we do our outreach and figure out how to get more feedback from the residents. And we do quarterly customer service polling right now and surveys, and so we're getting that on a regular basis as well. So we're seeing if what's working for residents. We may start to seed in some additional questions to that effort.
And there was some talk about rolling out larger garbage carts to try to prevent as much contamination, so people's extra garbage doesn't go into the recycling bin. Would that maybe happen in some local places as well to see if that changes behavior?
We're looking at a couple different options for single family and for multifamily, and we'll bring those to you in the fall.
Okay. Let's see. So I was going to ask about the federal, the offset for the COVID. So it looks like what we're calling the COVID increase is about a third of the total increase that we're seeing based on your analysis of the dollar. The total 21% increase, maybe a third of it was due to what we're saying is COVID increase. And
is the contamination, which we attribute the
contamination increase. And the contamination piece is about 1/3 of the total increase. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and the rest was because we delayed some increases and because of other cost of living adjustments and things. Okay. For each 1% change in or 1% reduction in that increase, how much of the federal relief funds would be needed?
Valerie, do you know every percent is about $1 million, right?
1.2 million.
1.2 million. Okay. So that's helpful to know. I mean, in terms of figuring out the total use of that money, when you say there's competing needs, it's good to know just how much we're talking about for every 1% increase in the customers. Okay, and then I just make the comment I made before, which is just that I'm concerned also that this has been a shift of cost from employers to residents, as employers are no longer really paying for much garbage collection. People aren't eating in office cafeterias where there's a lot of garbage usually. People aren't in the office throwing things out there. And so I suspect there's been money saved by our corporate, by our employers, whether they're large or small. And so I'm just a little concerned that I like to think that we can do some more to offset the increase on our residential side due due to the fact that our employers are no longer paying. So it's just kind of a way I'm thinking about it a little bit, and why I think it's important to try to assist people during this time because of the kind of unusual circumstances we're in terms of where garbage is being collected.
Yes, and unlike residential, commercial businesses can choose to stop their service.
Right.
So, so as you're noting, some of them have, although commercial rates will also increase this year.
So is there an increase in, my very last question, is there an increase in the rates due just to volume changing, overall volume of garbage, or is that not part of that calculation?
For residential, there, you know, the only cost increase related to material at the curb is what's in the recycling part, because the garbage fraction of that service just goes to the landfill. They don't have to do sorting and they don't have to pay additional fees.
But it all goes through a sorting facility, right? I mean,
it does, but the haulers aren't the one that sorts it. So it's sort of a little bit different. Valerie, am I answering that? Is there more you'd add to that? I feel like I'm confusing.
Yeah, so it does get sorted, but yeah, that doesn't impact the compensation to the hauler.
Rates are only from what's in the recycling bin. So there's two numbers that I was wondering about. One is the amount of total increase in volume, and then the other is that contamination increase. We got the contamination number. Was that total volume number in there somewhere and I missed it?
It's not. We do have it though, but it's not in this presentation, total volume at the curb, because we have it from the hauler reports, but we didn't do a garbage study.
I'd be curious to know that, because that kind of goes to help substantiate whether I'm right or wrong about the offset being paid, that the customers are paying the offset that businesses aren't paying. Because I think if we saw a substantial change from one year to the next, we would know how much of that is due to people being home.
Okay, and we can get you that. It's from the February T&E report. It's in there, and so we'll extract that and send that over.
Thank you. All right, no more questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Mahan?
Thanks, Mayor. Hi, Carrie. Thanks for the great presentation. A lot of questions. Curious, is there anything we can learn from the routes that are down at the low end of the contamination spectrum? If I saw the slide correctly, it was 20 to 40% versus the other end. I mean, quite a bit higher, closer to, I think, 60%. So are there any patterns or insights?
I'm not sure yet, but it is one of the areas we want to delve into a little bit more to see how, you know, household size by census tract. Is it the same? Is it different? We know generally 85% of the city has the smallest cart size. And so where you see maybe larger households, you know, you would expect there to be a higher need. And so those are all things we'll put into kind of our solutions to how to address cart sizing and rates, et cetera.
Great. Okay. And I guess relatedly, you know, do you think there's a strategy of maybe focusing on routes with the highest contamination rates and whatever, you know, outreach or pilot programs we're running or larger can size, would you focus them on those routes? And how much should we read into the disparities we're seeing across routes? I mean, I'm assuming that's not some kind of anomaly. Is that right?
Well, it's hard to say because certain sectors of our community have been hit harder with unemployment. And so they may have people home more often, or unemployment or ability to work from home, where they're home all the time. Other sectors, you know, people are still going out to their place of employment. And so we're going to look through it a bunch of different angles and see what we can learn from it. And we are uncertain right now if the biggest bang for our effort is to focus on the highest contamination or on the lowest contamination, because maybe it's better to have a cleaner cart, like get it from 50 to 30 rather than from, you know, 80 to 70. And so we're going to work with our haulers and kind of toggle both of those and see which produces the best and most marketable product.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, I actually wanted to ask, what is the relevant unit of measure? Is it the individual can or cart, or is it the truck load, or is it something else? Where does a given amount of waste or recyclables become contaminated and have to be completely discarded, or am I not thinking about that the right way?
No, you are. It's in the truck. I mean,
Okay.
certainly what matters is at the curb, but if you have a full ketchup jar and it ruins all the paper in the truck, you still have it all ruined.
Right.
Valerie, anything to add to that?
Yeah, the study was done based on the route. So
Right.
the route as a whole. But yeah, as Carrie mentioned, one can of soda can ruin the cart and the truck and therefore the route.
Okay, so we should be thinking about this at the level of the route and the truck primarily. Although the education is obviously on has to reach individuals. Okay, I love the sticker idea, by the way. I think getting that, I was going to suggest it and then you had it in your deck, but I think that's great.
We can make a tattoo for you if you're up for that too.
Great. It's pretty large. Probably need to be kind of across my back or something. But yeah, that's good. Okay. Other questions quickly here. I'm sure you've examined this. Is it possible for the haulers to actually, or some other consultant to spot check bins and maybe leave a friendly notice? I'm not necessarily suggesting a fine or anything like that, but just sort of a, hey, be a good neighbor. You may not know how this works, but we've noticed your can is not is contaminating the truck. I mean, I don't know how aggressive we might want to be, but is that something you've explored?
It's something we've talked about. We do have the authority to investigate what someone puts at the curb. People are very sensitive though. Sure. About what is in their cart and who knows about that. Yeah. But we have contemplated, could we use youth during the summer to sort of canvas? I mean, it's something that it doesn't take a lot of time because it would need to be in the morning in advance of the truck. And so we've talked about how we might employ some folks over the summer, whether it's just to do door hangers on everyone, or to create a quiz you could look yourself, or in the most egregious areas if we want to kind of dig through their cart. But we have heard stories from other cities where people do cart inspections and people don't really like it.
Yeah, I can imagine that being a little hairy. I could also imagine it potentially having an impact. And then as you think about these various tactics and all these pilot projects, are you able to essentially spend money out of a reserve or your budget against potential savings if we assume we can get the contamination rate down? I guess I'm trying to understand how aggressive we can be at spending on public education and or enforcement or whatever it might be to try to get contamination down. Are you able to use those savings? Because in theory, if you could save 10 million, you'd be willing to spend 9.9 to do it in theory.
Yep. Yes, and if we had something that I was super confident would create the desired result, I think we could get agreement to sort of gamble that way. But we really haven't found that magic solution yet, and so we're still exploring a couple different avenues. But we are the only city we've heard of that's kind of doing these every 2-year curbside audits. And so we think we're going to learn a lot and it's going to give us what that solution is. But right now I don't have it. But we have augmented our outreach team in the last couple of years. We did insource it from the haulers because we were confident that we could invest in it, but also because the public kind of said they wanted to hear from us, and it had nothing to do with the haulers were doing a good job or not. They wanted to hear from us.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I totally understand you wouldn't have that answer for anything you'd want to do at scale yet, but it sounds like testing a lot of different potential ideas would be what we'd want to do. And on that front, I think you said to Councilmember Cohen that going forward, we'll always know. And that's still every other year that we would know? So it'd be a 24-month cycle. Have you explored examining fewer routes or finding a way that would still be maybe statistically relevant data, but would give you a faster feedback loop? It seems to me that a 2-year learning cycle is still pretty long.
It is long, but unfortunately behavior change is slow. And so So, we do have the ability to do them more frequently. And I think we just need to figure out some things that we think are going to create a result, but behavior change is pretty slow.
Right, sure. But I would think something like the stickers or the bigger trash cans, if you were to roll out bigger trash cans in a census tract or a route or something, I would imagine you wouldn't have to wait 2 years to know.
No, I'm sorry. So whenever we do a pilot, we do all that.
You will be
part
doing
of the
right.
pilot.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's not worth doing if you don't know.
Correct.
So, yeah, so
okay.
we do
So
all
that
as
will be
part of the
immediate.
pilot. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Sorry, I misunderstood. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to hear. And then I want to let my colleagues speak. Let me just one other thing. I didn't fully understand why multifamily is not seeing an increase. At least you weren't presenting it as an increase due to contamination, but it sounded like you were seeing contamination and an increase in contamination at multifamily. Did I follow that? And what's the reason?
Yes. So the Green Team multifamily contract right now does not have the same contamination payment schedule as we do in single family. And it's certainly something they're asking for. I don't think it's unfounded, but it's not in the existing contract. And so we have some ideas where we might be one of the problems we think is that some of the multifamily, there were some consultants that sort of worked their way through the city a couple of years ago, and they helped the multifamily downsize and save them money. So we're looking at things like having minimum service levels by unit and sort of making sure the development is right sized and seeing if that works. But Brett, I know you're on. Do you want to add anything from the Green Team perspective?
No, absolutely, Carrie. And we're those third-party folks that are out there that have been helping the multifamilies downsize their garbage they've not been beneficial to the contamination at all. So we actually have a pretty good relationship over the last couple of years with them and trying to work with them and get some of these right sized. The whole goal from here until September is to try and get the right amount of garbage to match up with the right amount of recycling, because right now we're on the low end of that. I think Jerry's last number was 31.2 gallons per customer or per unit, if you will. We're trying to get that number to 32 over about 3,500 units. So that's our task for the summer, and we know we got to try and get that done, and get that contamination lowered.
Got it. Thanks, Brett. Good. Yeah, good luck with that. All right, I will. I'm going to stop there. Thanks for all the answers, Carrie.
Thank you. Councilmember Foley?
Thank you. And I may have someone coming to my door shortly, so I may have to stop and maybe come back and finish my questions in a few minutes. But thank you for that presentation. A lot of information. Realized that I thought I was really good at recycling, but clearly I'm not. I'm making some mistakes that I shouldn't be making in recycling. We try to be so diligent, but I messed up. I even made a video last week for recycling and I recycled some of the wrong things. So I hope that gets edited out. A couple of things, Carrie. One is you'd mentioned that you talked about this being using COVID as a reason for raising rates. Are you considering putting that in the notification that goes out that it's COVID related?
We are considering that. So we are relooking at the language to break things down more in the way that we did on the slide showing the why the increase. Prop 218 does require us to sort of say why rates are increasing. And over the past several years, we've tried to get more detailed in that because we think it helps the community to understand why. And so we are contemplating what language would make sense to share with folks that, hey, there's a lot of extra, garbage that got thrown in the recycle bin. So I guess also looking for feedback, like, is that something that council thinks would make sense, or is it better just to sort of leave it generic?
Yeah, I would recommend that you leave it generic, and for lots of reasons. One, to blame it on COVID, while that may be a good reason, because more people are at home, kids are at home, everyone's working at home, creating more trash. We are having more recycled boxes going in our trash or our recycle bins, but it does. It just adds salt into the wounds for how COVID has been. The other thing is, when COVID is over, and we say that this is in relation to COVID, are you implying that you would reduce the rates because COVID is now over? And so I would caution you not to use COVID as an excuse, because while it may be the legitimate reason or one of the legitimate reasons, it wouldn't sit well with our residents and our neighbors. I think that would be the wrong message. That's my opinion about depending on COVID as an excuse. I think talking about contamination is wonderful, because that educates our population on that we're not recycling right, and this is causing the problem.
Thank you.
A couple of questions for you. What would be the fiscal impact? And you might have said this, but I missed the number. What would be the fiscal impact if we didn't increase rates, if we just towed the line, left them as they were?
That is not an option, because we won't have enough money to pay the haulers.
We'd have to go from general funds.
Yes, and Valerie, remind me, the entire all contracts together are 120 million?
130 annually.
$130 million. And so, so if we would be short, if we didn't do the 17% increase, we'd be short $20 million.
Okay. I actually would like that number, and just to get an idea, understand we have to pay the haulers, and I understand that, but where could we get that money from if we didn't charge our residents more for garbage pickup?
Right. So yeah. So thank you. So either what we see as options are the COVID funding or general fund.
Okay. Regarding so you're proposing the $89.16 a year annual. That's 17%, I think. But you gave us 3 options or several options, and one was lower than that. You're proposing going out, notifying our residents that it'll be more than that, that'll at the height, just in case that's where we end up.
Prop 218 requires us to do maximum rate increase. So, so we're suggesting we would notify at 17, and then we couldn't go higher than that. Okay. And thank you. That answers my question. Regarding large trash pickup, you took a look at that and determined that that wasn't an alternative. But we all have dumpster days. So have you analyzed what would be the cost, or could you analyze what would be the cost if you increased the budget to the council offices for dumpster days and decreased the large item pickup in exchange for that? Would there be a cost benefit if the council districts were able to have more dumpster days, because we get large trash pickups at those events as well? Yep. We have not done that analysis. We moved to unlimited junk pickup. We used to have more dumpster days, and we sunset that and instead did more on-demand junk pickup, because our outreach to the community said people would use it more. But again, that was several years ago. One of the challenges with the dumpster days is you have to be able to get your stuff from your house to where the dumpster is. And not everyone is able to do that.
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. That's an excellent point. I hadn't actually thought about that, but you're absolutely right about that. Okay, I think a lot of my questions are asked, so let me just go through my list. So notices will go out next week. when is council set to vote on this?
On June 15th.
June 15th, okay. And you also mentioned that we cannot offer a reduction to low income residents, but you said there may be a way to offset that, but you didn't elaborate. So can you elaborate on that?
Thank you. So, so Prop 218 doesn't allow us to charge some people more than others. But one of the ideas that the city manager's office had is maybe there's a different way to provide relief to folks. And we don't have the answer to what that would look like. But maybe it's through an existing housing program or something we already do, where we could just bolt something onto an existing process. I don't know if Lee or Jim Shannon are on and they have more to add to that. Yes, my answer was okay.
Okay, good. And then regarding mobile home parks, are they considered multifamily pickups or they have individual trash pickup? And then would they have the same increase in cost of $89 for a mobile home?
Valerie, I think they're single family, but do you know offhand? Or is there a mix? Or Jeff, do you know the answer to that?
Actually, yeah, they're a mix. Some are multifamily, have dumpsters, and others have individual carts. Yeah.
And if they have individual, the cost will be $89.
More, yes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, didn't know that textiles weren't recyclable. I actually just threw some in my recycle bin, so I'm going to have to pull those out. You talked, so I know part of this is generated by the state law that we have to adhere to, and that there's administration things that we need to do, the edible food recovery plan. You mentioned container colors. What does that mean? Do we have to swap out our containers?
We're going to have to do some adjustments. Jeff or Valerie, you want to add some more context to that?
Yeah, I think we have plenty of time to do it. So we do have to change the colors of all our single family carts, but we have until I think 2036 or quite a long time to do it. So no hurry.
Okay, so this, all right, good. And have we, no, I guess I'll just leave it. I really appreciate this presentation. It's good information. I'm just really, and recycling right is so important. So that's the huge education component that our residents, and frankly, I didn't know I was doing it wrong and thought I was. So I'm just concerned about where water, very likely our water rates are going up. We don't really have control over that. Very likely utility rates are going up, very likely. And now the garbage rates, recycling rates are going up, and that's the one thing we do have control over. So I'll just finish by saying I'm very concerned that we may need to do this, but it's at the wrong time to be increasing rates. And any way we can offset it or hold, and I know we didn't do it last year, Carrie. So if we could hold it off for another year, that would be, and figure out a way to pay the haulers some other way, then I would be a proponent of taking a look at that. With that, I will yield to my fellow council members. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Prowse.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And yeah, thank my colleagues as well. Ask a lot of good questions. There's been good dialogue. I'll just focus on a couple parts. In regards to what Councilmember Foley was just talking about, wanted to see, Carrie, if you could expand a little bit on the option not to utilize the American Recovery Plan dollars, even if it was to just offset maybe some percentage, not the full percentage increase, and why we're not contemplating that, even if it is just for a short period, right? For 1 year, maybe even we consider something like that for 2 years to offset this increase.
Well, thank you, council member. And I'm super appreciative that Jim Shannon was able to be promoted to a panelist. And so thank you, Jim. I know you have some thoughts on this topic.
Yeah, hi, folks. Jim Shannon, City's Budget Director. So that's definitely one of the options that we've been considering. I think that one of the things we've been trying to think through is if we use the, assuming that it's eligible, because we're not entirely sure exactly, we won't know until the middle of May what the American Recovery Plan can really be used for. We assume it will be flexible, but we're not exactly sure. But if for the moment that it could be used to offset rates, it would be a pretty broad. We necessarily wouldn't be able to apply an equity approach to it if we use it to offset rates for the entire city. And so, and it's a pretty large dollar amount potentially, which could also maybe potentially have an issue with the rates needing to maybe go up even a little bit higher in the next year if the contamination doesn't come down. So we're a little bit leery of using too much of one-time solutions to solve an ongoing need. And so we're sensitive to that. So one of the things that we do want to explore is through a local assistance program, kind of like how we're tackling the rental relief through the last local assistance cycle, is using that. So for those customers who need that local assistance can get it through that program. That way we can target it to those who need it most, as opposed to blanketing it across the entire jurisdiction. So those are some of the preliminary thoughts. I think there's more work to do there, but that's sort of the thinking behind where we're at currently.
Can you describe a little bit more about that last option there? Something that those that may be in need, right? How they might be able to tap into some support?
Not in any specific, council member. I think we just wanted to try to leverage the same partnerships that we're using for our other local assistance funding that we had through the coronavirus relief funds, using that same type of approach, using some of our nonprofit partners to help target those folks who need the assistance.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I guess that would fall more in line, right? Just with rental assistance. I'm thinking, for instance, as I was a renter of a single family home for quite some time, the garbage rates, if they would increase, would sort of just get passed right through to myself. And that's very common for individuals that may rent in that circumstance. And I think the same could be said, right, as rents are renegotiated in multi-unit complexes. And so if we do something, I think, to stymie a large increase in garbage rates, I think it could even help offset some of that that may be simply just passed through. And we may not necessarily get those individuals, they're going to be paying that increase that are going to be out there, applying or qualifying for rental assistance or other means. They're simply going to take the hit. And I think that that's for me just a reason as to why I was intrigued in could we offset on a one-time basis. And in the presentation hearing that we do believe that this is likely tied and uniquely tied to the COVID pandemic. And there's a likelihood that we'll see the contamination numbers go back down, maybe trending more to where they were, even better, I think, because as we were trying to put in some efforts to decrease contamination, that's where my head was at as well. So I was thinking, sure, if we can find a way to help offset this on a one-time basis. Now, I understand why you might be more concerned and more conservative in that regard to say, well, we don't want to do that. And then lo and behold, that not be the case. And so for me, though, I think that it sounds as though that we've had a lot of direction pointing us to believe that that is the case. And so why wouldn't you be comfortable that this really would be just maybe a short-term 2-year, maybe at best, kind of increase that we're going to see on the contamination, and then as we're exiting the pandemic, that we would see the reverse.
I think that's definitely a valid thought, and there's nothing that's necessarily wrong with that. I think whatever we want to do, I think we would be careful of the amount that we would do it. I know there will be you know, a lot of good uses for that funding that could be targeted. So we want to be mindful of what other uses may be out there for it. But you're right. I mean, certainly if it's a one-time in nature, I think it's one-time in nature for a couple of years though. So we don't do a contamination study, I think, for another couple of years, is what I'm learning here. So, and I think I'm just sensitive to, I think we all are sensitive to where the rates are right now. So if the contamination rate doesn't end up going down substantially, that means the rate increases that would be required to maintain the level of service would be even higher potentially in the out years. So that's just something that we want to keep in mind. But your point is taken. If it is a one-time reduction, we could think about one-time resources to help solve.
We're kind of in that boat anyways, though, right? Because one of the solutions that we're contemplating here is dipping into the reserves. Was it like $2 million or so, right?
Yeah, I think so again, so we're a little bit doubling down a bit. So we're already kind of using some of the one-time resources. I think, you know, we're treading into territory that we want, you know, the administration is careful of. We've been pretty zealous of trying to make sure that when we have these essential services that we have at least a minimal amount of reserves in place. About 2% is about $2.4 million of that reserve, which I think is only around 13 million or so, or 14 million, I can't remember exactly. So we would have to be restoring that in future years. And so that's another thing maybe to be mindful of.
Okay, yeah, I guess I was just pointing out that it sounds like we are sort of taking a measured approach already, and we already are making some of those gambles, right, in regards to what we believe may happen with over the next couple of years. That's why I was just going off of that same mindset that, you know, if we're already thinking that and we're taking that calculated risk, then for me, I was curious, is there a dollar amount within the American Rescue Plan? And if we feel there's not, that's fine. I don't think I got that. I wasn't sold necessarily on that in the presentation. And so I do appreciate you jumping in and the fact that obviously, you know, that you've helped to come to some of this conclusion. So that's the questions I had in that regard. Just another topic was in the large item pickup. And Carrie, is there an increase that we pay, more we pay if we were to increase the usage? I think you said it's hovering around 30% average or something. And so if we had 50% of the community using that, would we pay more, or is that just all included in what we're already paying?
But we would pay more. We pay the haulers for what they pick up.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to say, if that was not the case, obviously would like to try to increase that usage. I also appreciate the challenge I think that some people may have on getting their, you know, sort of their items out to a dumpster day site, and that's not necessarily equivalent. I think the other challenge though is that the sort of the utilization of the, you know, large item pickup, even being free, is just not as robust, especially in some of the lower income areas I know that I represent. Not as robust as I would hope it would be in a lot of locations that still take what they assume is the easier approach, which is just simply tossing stuff out into the street. And so, and I know that obviously we can get in and go out and pick those up, but I would just really like to see that within our outreach focus. And my colleagues asked questions about this, so I won't talk about it. But you know, as we're going out there doing outreach, I think this should be a major component too. I'd love to see that increase, and recognizing now that it would cost some more. I understand that. I was going to say, if it didn't cost us any more, obviously that would be a huge benefit. But I still think it is a tremendous benefit, and we still have a lot of individuals that are not taking advantage of that. Clearly, we're getting a lot of, and I see right within the neighborhoods, right? You'll see illegal dumping, and it just, you know, I have to imagine it's either one of two reasons: somebody just doesn't know, right, that they have the opportunity, or even if they do, then it's obviously somebody that just doesn't care, right? And so, and I'd like to believe that we'd have more people that don't know than people that don't care. And so I'd like to try and see how we might get out there and educate, and that goes in line with the education. I'll just end on that we're all guilty. I have been there as well. I had gotten a nasty gram from putting a contaminated pizza box years ago, and then understood sort of what, how some of that has changed over the years, and And in fact, in looking at the list that you displayed today, Carrie, I am also guilty of still contaminating with the kind of like the mail envelopes that you showed. I was not aware that that is not something that you could put in the recycling. And so much to, as Councilmember Foley pointed out, I think we all need education and maybe continued education and stuff that, stickers or whatever maybe we put on top of the lids will be extremely helpful. And then clearly our part is to try and be, role models and good stewards to our community members. And if we are finding ourselves at fault and undereducated, right, we can't expect our community is going to be doing any better. And so I just all on board, obviously, within that realm of outreach and education. So thanks again for the presentation. That's it for me, Mayor.
That was a tough one for me personally, the pizza box too. I did that one for a few years till they busted me. Councilmember Arenas.
Mayor, I wanted to start off by just thanking you for all the work that you've done and helping us continue to keep the costs low for our residents, our customers. And I know last year in June, through some administrative costs and some contractual costs, we were able to also reduce single-family residential from 15% to 9%. Carrie, but this came also from some of those haulers and those employees in those haulers taking a cut in their salary, correct?
Councilmember, I'm not. I know some of our haulers are on, and they can share how they freed up that money. But each of our haulers did agree last year to forego some increases to help, and then they delivered great service this year.
Right. Well, and that's and I want to just take the opportunity to say thank you to those haulers for doing that for the rest of the city. That's a sacrifice, though, on a small group of folks for the greater good of everyone else, whether we are commingling the recycling or not, we all benefited from that sacrifice. And so I just want to say thank you to those haulers. But it's not realistic for us to continue to expect them to find the savings so that we can continue to have low costs and low increases for our residents. And so, just on that same theme of making sure that we continue to have this lowered percentage from 21, hopefully to 17. I also am very much, and I've asked you before about that reserve and how we could use it. This is part of, I think, why we have reserves for some, unforeseen circumstances. This definitely unforeseen. Although that percentage that we save now will go back to the residents eventually. So I think in 2023, correct, Carrie?
Yes, in 2023, we do expect the contamination to be lower, and then we plan to recharge that O&M reserve over more than a year.
Yeah. So what is that minimum amount for that reserve? I know at this point it's 14 million. What is that typically?
14 million is our preference. It's 1 month.
And is there legislative law? Is there something that binds us to that amount?
But the budget office binds me. But Jim or Jennifer, do you guys want to add in kind of our best practices around that?
Well, I'll start just to say that I don't think there is a statutory requirement by state law about what that figure has to be, but it's just those things that are essential city services. We got to make sure we have some stopgap behind it to make sure that we can continue those services in case something happens. So I think what we're recommending to put forward here is a dip into that reserve a little bit. Brings us, I think, will bring us down to below a 1 month level. But so it's something that we think is small enough that we could deal with it, but not so substantial that we're putting the service at risk.
Right. Well, if this isn't an emergency, I don't know what is. And I don't know that we are creating a risk for our department as much as we are creating a benefit for our residents that are in such need. Especially, you know, we have to take this approach of making sure that we save money or decrease this rate increase for everyone. We can't do it for certain folks, but we have to realize that there's some people who really would need, you know, this would make a big difference for them over the course of a year. And for some folks, it might just seem, oh, well, this is just $6, not a big deal. We can just keep moving along. But for others, it really makes a difference. And so I totally understand that we can't pick and choose who we give a decrease to. And so we must do it for everyone. But I do think that the COVID money, and I know that you said, Jim, that you're not quite sure if it's eligible for the rates, for this reduction in rates, but you're exploring that option. I would, you know, heavily recommend for the American Relief Recovery Plan money to fund and offset some of this for our residents. This is the kind of emergency, this is the kind of relief that we need to find a permanent, or at least for this year and maybe for the upcoming year, some relief. I know over the years, obviously, we're going to see some impact for the commingling, and some of our residents are going to see, or the haulers are going to see that impact, which will translate into an increase in the long run. But I think for now, I just really want to just emphasize that this is this local assistance program option that you're all looking to. I really like it. I think we should continue to explore it. And that will help focus some of that money or that some of that relief for some of those folks. The other thing that I wanted to mention is something that, and I know, Carrie, we don't have like the magic bullet here. We don't know exactly what is going to work, but I know one of the things that we've been talking about is education. And I know that some of my council members, and I'm going to include myself as well, we've all done the mistake of including something or other in our recycling that we're not proud of. And I'm going to say, for me, it was a diaper, and I didn't do it. It was my mother-in-law, and she just saw it was like full, like a garbage cart was full. So and I was so offended when I saw that note in the mail. I was like, how dare you? I know better than that. But I did check in with my mother-in-law. She had done it. So anyways, this is some years ago, but and so now we know better, but that's part of education, right? And that's part of also getting some of those notices in the mail and changing your behavior, or making sure that everybody knows what those expectations are for those two different carts. And so with that, I really just want to emphasize once again that we need to maybe take an opportunity at this point, either with the ARP money, to do some education pieces. And if with those, and I know that education always works. It always works. It's working even today, because some of us realized there's, you know, something that didn't belong somewhere. And so it always works. And I wonder if we could have like an incentive program that is connected with some of those free providing maybe some free stickers that typically would cost the $5 or $6 for the garbage bag, the additional garbage bag. You know, if you attend a workshop, and if we target some of the schools in the areas that have the most violations for commingling of those recyclables, and maybe a little bit of notice, right? A little threat, a little, you know, a carrot too, right? So I think with those two, I think we can make a huge difference. But I really think that education is going to make a difference. And for those folks who either, you know, are too tired or don't have enough money to go to the Save Mart or to the Lucky's to get that $5, $6 bag, that if you participate in something on an ongoing basis through your kid's school, what a great way to, one, learn more about recycling, and two, to get some benefit out of it for your own personal use. I know that can't happen forever, but at the very least, I think we haven't maybe an increased participation rate for those folks who want some of those stickers that are $6 out of your pocket. Anyways, that's my piece about the contamination and the education. And hopefully maybe there's something that we can do with either the ARP money or with your ongoing funding. I do want to caution and be, I wouldn't want us to dip into the general fund for any of this. I think, you know, the reserves are there for a reason. The ARP money seems appropriate. I think with those two sources of funding, I think that would be my recommendation. That would be my preference, and not the general fund. And so we just have to continue to find ways to keep those rates down for the families. And I wonder also with the recycling lid pilot program, you didn't say in your presentation exactly where it's happening, but I'm guessing it's connected to some of the places where there's more violations. Is that?
It's a mix of places because we want to learn from a couple different census tracts, what works and what doesn't. Jeff, is there more insight you can share on that?
No, I think you covered it pretty good. Yeah, we're definitely trying a variety of areas for the pilot. So, yeah.
Got it. Okay, but that doesn't mean a larger cart, does it, Carrie? It just
no, council member. That would be a separate effort that we're contemplating, and we expect to bring back to you all for consideration in the fall.
In the fall. Okay, so wouldn't it be within this budget season? It would be later on this year.
Yes, we have a bit more work to do looking at the rate model before we're ready to move something forward.
Oh, okay. Well, I would be excited to hear about that as well. I mean, I think like I said, take the education to them and have that lid replaced. That's very, very helpful. And I think, you know, I don't know if you have any plans or when, if maybe after the budget season, to do more of the education piece. What are some of those plans? And what are
we have a pretty robust communication and outreach plan that we've been working through in COVID, and we're looking forward to the schools getting back in their normal status and participating with some of those schools, and certainly trying to see where we can bring some carrots to them for participating and knowing that the students will bring those lessons home. And then, you know, really loved your ideas about having folks take some training and get a recognition reward for that as well. So we have a variety of things. We have our partnership with the Earthquakes and the Sharks and the San Jose Giants when they get all back in the swing of things. Those have proven to be very, very beneficial to us as well, because we kind of get people in a different forum. And so, you know, and as someday there'll be festivals again, and we'll go back to doing those. And then we have our normal online presence, and then sanjoserecycles.org, and working to have you be able to ask Alexa and Siri and whoever the Google person is as well.
I love that. Yes, I love that. I love having an additional resource like Siri or Alexa, whoever it is. Yeah. The other thing that I was going to just mention, and I had forgotten when I was talking about some of those carrots and providing some of the free stickers, is I don't know if we've looked into making a mass opportunity for classes through the community centers for recycling education. You're smiling, so you probably heard.
Yeah, we're partnering with the library.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
And yeah, they're kind of doing a lot of outreach with us as well. So we're partnering with the library, and then we have formulated a partnership with Parks Department as well to see exactly that, where we can fund some programming which helps them with their programming, since they're really better at delivering the message as they lead their classes.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that when I was taking my kiddos to the community center that we have nearby for classes, parents, there's a huge group of parents just waiting around in the hallways, and they're just ready and waiting for ESD to give them some education.
I'll remember that.
We're waiting for you.
And then, yeah, and Councilmember, we also, if you recall, when city is doing food distribution, we also have messages on all the food deliveries that we're doing as well.
Awesome, awesome. Well, listen, just as a parent, I know that we love when we can maximize our time, and I'm sure that you love captive audiences as much as we do. So just trying to throw some of the ideas in there, which I know that you've already thought about. Hopefully we can connect at some point and create a partnership within our districts and see what we can do together as well. I'm looking forward to that. But those are my questions. And mainly I was just concerned about keeping those rates down for families, making sure that we had a very specific targeted approach for reductions in rates for those families related to maybe ARP money that can be used that way. But thank you so much for a very informative presentation and for your work overall. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Davis.
Thank you. Carrie, I want to thank you and your team for this presentation. I learned so much every time. In fact, I've been joking with my husband. I know so much more about wastewater and garbage than I ever would have had I never become a council member. So thank you. And I always learn something. I learned about the number 6 plastic not being recyclable. I did not know that. And in fact, I just threw something out a few days ago with that number because I went, oh, it has a number. Okay, I can throw it out. So now I have to make a mental shift. I feel like I need one of those stickers. So I think I really liked the idea of the video. It sounded like Councilmember Foley did a video. I don't know if that was in partnership with your office. I love that idea. I think it'll be great to put on social media. Videos get way more viewing and hits than our text posts. So that's really helpful. And I also thought that slides 44 and 45, I'm going to pull those out and put those in a newsletter because they were good, very good summaries of what's available. And I think they might have been what the stickers are. I have a couple of questions and then some comments. Way back in slide 27, you talked about the percentage diversion for commercial, and it was 60%, and residential is 70% diversion. And I was wondering why it's lower for commercial, and if that's like way too minutia, just tell me, like, we can take that offline. I'm happy to.
No, I can start, and then Jeff and Shika, if you guys want to add in, part of the difference is that the residential program includes green waste. So it includes loose in the street yard waste, and most of the commercial doesn't include that. And so that is a volume of material that that does get handled through the residential system. And
so the residential 70%, I thought it was separate. I thought that was just for garbage, and that the yard trimmings was 97% diversion. That was a separate number.
So maybe I compiled together. But Jeff, you want to check my math on that?
I know I asked the nerdiest questions. I'm sorry.
I love it.
I don't recall our overall diversion offhand, but I thought residential was up near 80% actually, if you include yard trimmings. And as Carrie's mentioning, yard trimmings, we're able to recycle, 95% of what we collect there. So that just automatically bumps up our diversion in residential.
So I thought the garbage number, what I put down in my notes, and it may not be right, the garbage number for residential was 70%, and then the commercial, and I may have misunderstood the slide, the wet dry waste was 60% diversion. And I was wondering why it was less for commercial when it seemed like, they have larger bins, and it should be a better one. It just in my mind.
Should be. Shika, any insight on why commercial isn't higher?
Well, we do have a 1+ bin system where we give our businesses the ease of getting only just one bin as well. So there is a little bit of contamination issue that we are trying to resolve with our commercial program as well. So a lot of education needs to happen with the businesses as well at this point.
Are they just less likely to throw away things that can be recycled? So I saw in their drive-in, like something like carpet, I suppose, is not a recyclable.
Well, Republic would pull out that material and
Oh.
recycle it. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. The list. Go ahead. Sorry.
And then Shika, how does our commercial program compare to some of our neighboring cities in terms of diversion?
It's been a while. I've looked at that, Carrie, but
well, we've had the commercial system since 2012, and so we've kind of gone from that 20% to 60-ish, and we'll come back in the next couple months and bring some data on kind of how to move it up a bit when businesses get back to business. And then Shik and the team are looking at, does that one bin work, or should we sort of require everyone to have two? And we're hesitant to add that additional cost right now. And so we want to kind of, if we're going to do a shift, we want to do one with money in mind, because more bins means more cost because the haulers have to handle it differently.
Oh, I think maybe I didn't understand. I thought they had 2 or 3. So they have options. They don't all have a wet and a dry.
Right.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that answers my question. Sorry, I misunderstood what they had then. Okay.
Sorry. And we just went too deep into Geekland. So sorry about that.
No. It's totally fine. And then another sort of nerdy question on slide 43, when we were talking about the contamination increase, I think it was called a residue increase. Was that the same? Did it have the same standards? Because I know the people who accept recycling, the places that accept recycling, that has changed over time. Were the two numbers that were being looked at, were the standards for acceptance the same?
So what we consider recyclable, we call a program material, and program materials may differ in San Jose from other cities. So, so if it's not a program material, we consider it contamination.
Okay, so did we keep when we were comparing from 2019 to 2020, did we keep our standard the same for program material?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we were comparing apples to apples, and I didn't catch that in the presentation. And then in terms of there were a lot of different percentage increases throughout your part of the presentation, Carrie, and I want to make sure I know exactly what's going to be noticed to folks, because I think what you had said was the $89 is what's going to be noticed. Is it going to be noticed as a annual, a monthly, or a weekly number? So I know you'll give the percentage, but which one are you going to give?
We typically include all.
Okay. And then I want to make sure the $89 doesn't include the if we dip into the O&M reserve amount. Is that correct? It includes the using the fund balance because there were no concerns about that one.
Right. So if we dip into the O&M, we would notice a 17% increase, which is $665 a month or $1.53 a week.
Okay, so we don't know yet whether we're noticing the 19% or the 17%. Is that what you're saying? Because that decision hasn't been made.
We're looking for input. We're suggesting that we're comfortable noticing 17%. 19% means we don't have to dip into those reserves. And what I'm hearing from today's conversation is a preference to lower is better. And so 17% sounds like something council's more in sync with. So that's what we noticed.
Yeah, I keep going back and forth on it because I think I agree that lower is better, but I also agree with Jim that if we can target our relief, I would much rather target our relief than to just use the O&M reserve.
No, right. So council member, so the Senate, we would still, the administration is still proposing to use COVID money to target.
Okay, okay, good. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. I like the idea of targeting the relief as much as we can. I had a couple of I'm not sure that rental relief is the only thing that we want. If we could put it together with something, that rental relief is the only thing, because these are single family rates that are going up so much. And we may have to include people who got mortgage relief, and that's a totally separate. We don't have nonprofit partners working on that because it's a federal program. So I wanted to throw that out there because the single family rates may be associated with people who are needing the mortgage relief. And I thought potentially the folks who qualify for utility programs may be better able, we may be better able to get everybody, like the universe of people who are going to need this relief. So I just want to throw that out there as an idea. And then I do want to throw in with everybody saying that they agree with not limiting the junk pickup. I completely agree with your assessment on that, Carrie. We're still doing the education at every dumpster day about unlimited free junk pickup. Please don't stop that. I think it would be really hard to get folks who have just learned about that, frankly, in the last 6 months of restarting dumpster days, that the free junk pickup has been available this whole time to them, to say, nope, just kidding, and then to have to do it again. It has been really helpful. And I've had a couple of folks who have come to the dumpster day and said, even with the free junk pickup, they still had things for the dumpster days. So having a balance of those is, I just think we would pay so much more in illegal dumping costs if we didn't have it, that it would just totally wipe out any potential savings for limiting that. So I really appreciate that program, and I know the residents do as well. Yeah, I think that's it for my questions and comments. I am going to text you separately, Carrie, about this envelope issue that Councilmember Peralez mentioned, because I think I might be doing something wrong with envelopes. So clearly, maybe we should have, maybe you should have an individual session with each of us so we know what we're doing, so we can help other folks too.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Feel like I'm back at confession. Okay, so Carrie, thank you for listening to all of our sins. And thanks everybody for the hard work. You know, this is, of course, a terrible time to be raising rates when so many families are struggling mightily. And I appreciate all that you're doing to try to find savings under every couch cushion to reduce the burden. And certainly I'd support the 4% reduction that you found. Just to understand more clearly the limitation on free junk pickup, I believe the numbers I heard was it was like 45% of the 33% who are using the service use it a lot.
More than 6 times, more than 6 items.
Yeah. So those are folks for whom would be, okay, I think I get it. So that would be, okay. And so if you believe if we limited them, that stuff would still be ending up out on our street? Or do you think there's some likelihood folks might hang on to it till the next year when they can unload more stuff?
We do think it would wind up either being someone, a resident might, look through Craigslist and get a hauler that for the amount of the disposal fees, there's no way the typical resident would pay it.
Yeah. And to what extent, since every city, I'm sure, is grappling with this challenge right now, I imagine there are lots of smart folks who've been looking at behavioral insights to figure out how do we persuade folks to use the right card at the right time. And you mentioned folks are sensitive about
people looking at whatever they're disposing, but that seems to me that sensitivity could also be used to our collective advantage. That is to persuade folks to do what is right and what will save all of us money. I'm just wondering, to what extent have you seen jurisdictions use messages like, hey, your neighbors are concerned they're paying too much for recycling and would really like to see you not throw these soiled pizza boxes away in the recycling bin, or your disposal of junk out on the street is costing your neighbors money and they're concerned, things like that.
Yeah, we get people tend to get defensive, and we'll the typical answers we hear is, well, it wasn't there when I put it at the curb. And so, we hear a lot of that, but we think that there's an opportunity to positively interact with the residents, to motivate them to do it differently, and whether that, some council members have suggested competitions between blocks or neighborhoods to kind of drive that number down, and looking at that carrot approach, but also considering, do we want to do some mass cart inspections in the summer to get the word out that, I don't have to say exactly how many of X you had in your cart, but I can tell you what shouldn't be in there, and not have to dump it in the middle of the street. And so we're kind of looking at both of those. We don't want to have, a lot of upset residents feeling like we raise rates only to go inspect their cart either. So we're trying to weigh the negative impacts, and my preference would be to work on the positive ideas before we pull out the hammer. And one of those could be, a larger garbage cart, and then take that opportunity to sort of do mass outreach in terms of, hey, now that you have the option to have this bigger cart, really be more thoughtful about what you put in that recycle bin. And so we kind of want to make sure we're timing it right. And we're not there yet. And I admit we're slow to get there. But we want to digest the curbside audit a little bit more. We want to work with our haulers a little bit more. And then, I expect in the coming months, we'll have some ideas of how to get this back on track. But I am relieved that our consultants are saying, hey, you would have been at a more normal contamination rate in single family if people weren't isolating at home.
Right. And Carrie, look, I appreciate you're pulling out a lot of different levers to try to find the right one, but it seems to me that there are folks, who study behavioral insights for a living. And I'm just wondering, are there those third parties out there? I don't know if it's a university, a think tank, whatever, that's publishing something that we're able to look at. So we're not just reinventing the wheel and trying to understand how to move.
Yep. And we have worked with the behavioral insights team on how we do our messaging. And so that shaped how the message gets out there. Yeah. And we'll continue to ramp that up. And I know the rest of our team is hearing loudly an interest in going a little bit faster and a little bolder. And so we'll figure out how to do that.
Okay.
Maybe a lot faster and a lot bolder.
Thank you. I know that there's quite a bit of skepticism about recycling these days based on what we are seeing in the media, what we know had been happening in China, and then obviously, and I wonder to what extent there may be some folks who are simply not believers. and I guess the question I would have is, to what extent is their non-belief well informed? I mean, for those who say, hey, recycling is a charade, this stuff is just being dumped in a warehouse somewhere. Are there messages that we can convey? First, it would be helpful to know exactly what the truth is, right? And then are there messages that we can convey accurately that would help people feel more assured that they're going to take the effort, that it really will be recycled?
No, thank you. And that's fair. We haven't been as overt in our messaging about, hey, here's what your can becomes. And yeah. I do think that is a motivating message, and that we can do better with that. Here's why you should, rather than, hey, don't put these things in the cart. So we'll definitely figure out how to embed that more thoughtfully.
Okay, I mean, I wasn't actually saying, I'm not sure it is the best message. It may not be, because I don't pretend to know what motivates people. But I guess the question for me was, is there a reason for a lack of belief, for the, not necessarily for the climate deniers, but the recycling deniers who say, hey, this is all this cardboard is just going to go somewhere and sit in a warehouse. It's not really going to get recycled.
Yeah. There's so many things in my head. No, I don't think there's reason to not believe that.
Okay.
The part of the challenge is that there's a lot of the thin film plastics that is not recyclable and not reusable, and
Right.
that can, if you think of the basics, the cardboard, the newspaper, and cans and bottles, they are being reused and they are being recycled. And it's all the other stuff that's in there.
Yeah. Okay. Helpful to know. Again, I know we're doing our best. Our partners are doing their best. We just don't know. We don't have a clear view to what happens downstream. And it would be interesting to know, does it really significantly boost recycling when people know, hey, this really is going to get repurposed into some other material that we can all benefit from. Anyway, great. Thank you for all of the hard work. I think those are all the comments and questions from the council. And I believe we have gone through public comment. Nora, do we need to have public comment for open forum as well? And a study
I
session?
think that's on the agenda.
Okay, not a study session. Okay,
Yeah.
we'll have plenty of it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thanks. Unless there's anything further, Dave, is there?
No, thank you, Mayor. That concludes today's activities.
Okay, great. We'll adjourn the meeting then. Thanks, everybody.